few books at home and stuff. This one that I read about the Coral Castle, it's fucking sick.
Coral Castle, what's that?
This guy, he's fucking Ed Lee Skelton.
Yeah.
He was like a 55-year-old dude, moved over from Latvia. Mm-hmm. He was fucking 150 pounds. He bought this patch of land in Florida. Yeah. It was all made on coral ground though, so it wasn't like farmable land or anything, right? Yeah. And I think he actually got it like given to him by somebody. He was like, he asked for this land. The guy's like, this land is useless. Like, what are you gonna do with this? And he's like, don't worry about it. I got it figured out. So he started building this castle all by himself. Yeah. And you can go look at it still to this day. It's over there in Florida called the Coral Castle. And he moved all these stones by himself, every single one. There's stones up to 30 tons there. He moved them all by himself. Crazy. Nobody ever saw him move a single stone. Yeah. Except for some kids. Yeah. Let some kids watch one time. They ran home, told their parents that he was floating the stones into place. Crazy. He wrote a book on electromagnetics back in the day when he was doing this. And people today look at it they're like, what is this guy saying? Mm-hmm. Like this, like they didn't even understand it, right? Yeah. But they said like the basic of it was that everything in the world has a frequency. Like this table has a frequency, this cup has a frequency.
Oh, for sure.
The trees, the rocks, everything does. And if you dial into that frequency, you can make it like two positive ends of a magnet trying to push it together and they'll like repel each other, right? Yeah. So the only pictures that they have of him is he has the tripod up with this black box over top of the tripod all the time. You can never see what's on top of the tripod. Yeah. People theorize that he had some kind of device up there, right? That was like dialing into the frequency of these stones. Yeah. And that's how he was able to actually move them. Because he weighed like 150 pounds. He was like a super skinny dude, right? It made no sense that he was able to move these stones. The door that he built on this, after he built it all, another little side note, he'd always say when people asked him about it, how did he build it? He would say, it's for my Sweet 16. He would always say it's Sweet 16. Like people assume that he was talking about an old girlfriend or something from when he was younger. Yeah. But then people later on were like, maybe it was like a code for something, his Sweet 16. But he would say that knowledge without work is dangerous. And if you do the work, you could figure it out. But he's like he knows how the pyramids were built. Yeah. That's what he would constantly say, right? I know how they built the pyramids. I figured it out. And he actually traveled to Egypt and stuff when he was younger and stuff too. And he had a pretty cool history. I don't remember it all, but he had a pretty cool backstory about how he was like an apprentice almost with some people back in the day, some like who were part of an order from back a long time ago and stuff, right? So he could have possibly had knowledge from way back then, and people were just keeping it secret. But he said that knowledge without work is dangerous. If you do the work, you can figure it out. He built this door. I think it was like 12 tons. And schools would come out there, and they'd all come check out his castle. He'd always pick like the weakest kid in the class. This looked like the runt, right? Yeah. And he'd be like, "You think you could open this door?" And they'd all be like, "No." He'd be like, "Come on up. I bet you could open this door with one finger." Yeah. And they'd go up and touch the door, and they could turn this 12-ton door. Crazy. It was so smooth, right? Yeah. It was like that forever. Like he ended up dying, and apparently he had like the police went there after he died. He told somebody that he was going to die. He knew he was going to die. Told somebody that he was going to die. So he left something like a map to his information. Yeah. And he left it in his place. The sheriff who went there found it apparently and tried to go find it. Couldn't find it, and now it's just been lost to who knows where the map went to, right? But
lost to time.
Terrible, man. The guy was a genius, but that door ended up getting knocked off sometime, like long time ago, or in the 70s or something, right? And some bulldozer was doing some work and knocked it off its mantle, like where it was sitting. And when they went down and looked how he had that thing positioned on there, they were like blown away at how like intricate it was and stuff, especially from how his time when he did it. They refurbished it, put the door back on. It's never been able to turn the same way again. Yeah. Never been as easy to turn. They said it's like a struggle to open it.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but he had it on there like in a certain way. Yeah. That was just amazing. They said how he came up with it or whatever. I don't remember the exact design of it, like to explain it, but I remember seeing a picture. It was kind of on this like almost like in like a bowl. Yeah. Kind of a thing, and it would spin the whole thing or whatever, right? And nobody really knows to this day how he moved any of the stones, right? They don't understand. Because the only pictures are of him with a tripod and a chain. And they're like, well, he's not moving 30 tons
oh God,
with that, you know, like how did he do it? But it's pretty weird. Like I could almost see him showing that to kids.
Yeah.
Because nobody's gonna believe him.
Yeah.
The kid goes home and tells you that's such a, oh man, he was floating the stones. They're like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know, but like people who do a lot of research in Egypt and stuff too, that's what they think as well. Like they think there's something to do with sound. Mm-hmm. That sound can like make you float stuff. They'd hum songs. There's like a bunch of writings and stuff in Egypt when they would sing songs and stuff when they were moving these huge stones around like certain tones and certain frequencies, which might have something to do with it. Like, because you go back and look at any of the old architecture from back in that day, like it's amazing, man. Oh, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There's definitely lost technology that we don't have, like 100%.
Yeah.
And like archaeologists and everybody else want to make it seem like it's all just, you know, very reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, all they did was they used a bunch of slaves and they built the pyramids. Well, there's like 2.5 million stones in the pyramid. They said they did it in 20 years. And they brought these stones from hundreds of miles up the Nile. Mm-hmm. They tried recently, like not that long ago, these people tried to do an experiment to show how they built the pyramids.
Yeah.
Not only could they not cut and quarry in the way that they said they did, they tried to put one of the stones on one of their boats that they supposedly said they moved them on. They sunk the boat.
Yeah,
yeah, like, you know, there's all kinds of, every step of the way it didn't work.
Yeah.
And they were trying to say that this thing, and another thing is like so for the ramp, to get a stone that's like 2 tons or whatever up to the top of the pyramid where it is, the ramp would have had to have been over 2 miles long. Because it can't go up, no matter how many slaves you have, you ain't pulling one up at an angle like that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's got to be like a certain grade. I can't remember what the grade is, but for it to be they said like would have to be 2 miles long. Where's all the supply or like the debris from the ramp?
Yeah.
Like where it doesn't make any sense. Like none of it makes sense, and they just want to act like it's not that big of a feat. Oh, it's a pyramid, big deal. It's like it's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
I mean, like you got those stones at the top there.
It's amazing.
Like, can you imagine what it took to get those up there?
It's incredible.
That is wild.
Yeah, and they don't have any real explanation about. They didn't even have like, okay, you're going to use log rollers. They're going to sink into the sand.
Yeah,
that's not going to work. So log rollers are out of the question. They were supposedly built before the wheel.
Yeah.
So they didn't use wheels. So that's out of the question. So what did they use? You know what I mean? Like I think that they were been around for a long time. I kind of subscribe to like the Graham Hancock theory. Like we're a species with amnesia.
Yeah.
And we're missing a part of our past.
Oh yeah.
Like there was a huge catastrophe back in the Younger Dryas, like probably like 10,500 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, and a lot of people got wiped out.
Yeah.
And there were still some smart people who was like they built these things to kind of tell a story about a time that the catastrophe happened. Because like if you go look at how the pyramids are laid out. I don't know if you've ever looked at them, like from an aerial view. They look exactly like Orion's belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy, Robert Bouval, who was like he brought it out in the 90s, figured out that like they matched a time. If you looked at it, how it's laid out, matches an exact star map over top of Giza Plateau, like 10,500 BC.
Interesting.
Yeah, like perfect. And they have a little known fact about the pyramids. They got these star shafts. They're like these hollow shafts that go right out through the pyramids, and they point at these certain constellations.
Yeah.
And like 10,500 years ago, they were pointing to like Taurus, which is, pointing to Leo the lion, which is also the Sphinx. You know, they try to say that the Sphinx was built like 2,500 years ago.
Yeah.
And that it always had a head carved with the pharaoh. But you look at the head of that thing on the body. It looks totally small. It's a puny little head. It makes no sense, right? Like it really makes sense that it probably had a lion head on it at one point, and then the pharaohs carved it down either because it was like just too eroded that you couldn't really see it anymore, or just for his own wanted to have his head on the Sphinx or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think that they had some technology that we didn't have, and we just think it's impossible today that there could be something out there that we don't know. You know, we consider ourselves so advanced.
Dude, if you even look at, I was just talking to a guy recently about this, the craftsmanship that we've lost since 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? You think back, when they built houses 100 years ago, they used to, those moldings around everything? All those really intricately carved moldings? People used to do those by hand.
Yeah, crazy.
Right? And there's not a single person out there doing that today.
No.
That's just something that's been lost to us, right? So
exactly.
if we've lost the ability to do that within 100 years, what have we lost, from way back then? I mean, and we're at the point now where, technology has made certain things so much easier, but so watered down from how they used to be, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we create very simple things very easily.
Yeah.
But hugely intricate things without technology, we lost that ability.
Yeah.
Right? That's just completely gone from us.
It is, dude. Especially stone stuff. Like, now they cut stones with, like, lasers and stuff, and with these super high pressured water will cut through them and stuff. People used to cut these things by hand.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly hard stones. There's some weird stuff. One day, Nate, what we got to get going here is like the Joe Rogan thing where we can show pictures at the same time.
You're absolutely right. We do got to.
You know, because one of the most incredible structures I've ever seen is called Puma Punu in Bolivia. Every piece of this building fits together like a Lego.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's got a female end and a male end that would fit together like a cross. There'll be a hollowed out cross area, and then the male end fits right in, locks into this thing.
Yeah.
The building right now, you can't even tell. It looks like it was blowing up from the inside because there's pieces of it everywhere. And it's considered sacred ground, so they don't do archaeology there.
Yeah.
So really, they have no idea the date or anything, when this building was. They there's a place right by there called Teotihuacan, which is pretty close, so they kind of have a date for that building. But it's still above ground and stuff, so I don't think it's probably, if they actually looked into it, I'd say Puma Punu was way older. Yeah. But the stones are made out of, like, diorite. And, like, the only thing harder than diorite is diamond, they say. So, like, to cut these things, they would have had to have, like, diamond tools.
Yeah.
These things they know how that they're super old. They say that the hunter-gatherers must have cut these things with hardened chicken bones. that's the archaeologist theory of how these things were made. Because instead of changing the narrative, they're just trying to place it with the same people that were there at the time. Yeah. It couldn't possibly be made by anybody else or possibly be any older because we know for a fact that there wasn't anybody else here. Yeah. It's that kind of attitude, right? That they're holier now, they know everything. There's nothing that they don't know. It's like there's plenty that you don't know. There's plenty that could have gone on in this world that we're just unaware of at this time. Sure. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I would be amazed to see that, like, not only are those blocks just like a cross cut in, it's like different layers, like a layer, like ridges, like switchbacks almost. Yeah. It looks like that, like going down the whole sides of them. And they would have locked all in together. There's blocks called the H blocks. You know, you have your drawer, your dresser drawer slides in, has the grooves in all along that your drawer can slide into your dresser, right? Yeah. It has those like along the H blocks, but it has like on a couple different grooves and stuff where all these blocks would have all fit into each other along the whole wall, stacked up, and they're huge. Yeah. It's like, how are they getting these blocks even up there? How are they cutting them? And they have these tiny little holes in them, Nate. Mm-hmm. There's no way to make them unless you had a drill, like a high-powered drill, going in. They don't even have an explanation for them. Mm-hmm. They really don't. They don't even bring it up because it's like, yeah, it's a darn good point. What the hell? How could that have possibly been made like that? Yeah. They got bigger ones too, where you could actually see lines, because they say that you can drill holes. You get a rock with another rock, and you put sand on there with water, and you spin it back and forth for a long time, and it'll slowly start cutting a hole in there. Yeah. But when you look at it with a magnifying glass, there's no like rings around it. It's all just ground away, right? You can't see any identifying really marks. Yeah. These ones over there, when you look at it, you can see like lines, like they used a drill and went in there with something. Huh. And it's like, it would have had to have been a super high powered one. One of them is like this big. That's crazy. Yeah, and it's like, how did this happen? So they're saying that just like these hunter-gatherers did it, man, with some hardened chicken bones and a stick. Yeah, don't talk about it though, Nate. You know? Yeah, they don't even exactly, dude. And they don't even like they don't want you even bringing it up. Yeah. It's like, that's one of the coolest places though. Puma Punu in Bolivia. Check her out if you haven't ever seen it before, because it's amazing. How do you say that again? Puma Punu. P-U-M-U-P-U-N-K-U. Puma Punu. Puma Punu. Yeah, in Bolivia. Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, and honestly, it'll blow your mind. Interesting. When you think about, because they had said that they've like, with all the blocks that are on the surface, they've tried to like use computer programs to kind of figure out how they would have been put together, and they can't figure it out. They don't know what the building would have looked like. All they know for sure is how the H blocks would have went together. But they don't know where all the other blocks would have been and how this building would have looked, and like the whole building when it was complete. Yeah. Because it's like a lot of it's still buried and they can't dig, which is a real shame too. Yeah. But like the indigenous people in Bolivia consider it a holy site, right? That's because it's so old, so they don't want people. And I can understand that too, because they're going to give you some hogwash date anyways. Look at what they're doing right now. They're trying to take away how special it is. Yeah. Right? And that's what archaeology does. because they got to fit everything into a timeline that's right now. There's two different camps in archaeology. Mm-hmm. There's the gradualists, and the catastrophists. Gradualists say like everything. The rate of change as we see it right now is the rate of change it's always been. There's never been anything crazy. You can look at a river eroding a bank, and it'll erode that bank at that speed forever. It's always eroded at that speed forever. There's never been any other change to it. Catastrophists say there's been huge events that have taken place over time that have significantly changed the shape of the earth and the shape of the planet and like the landmarks and stuff.
I feel like it might be a catastrophist.
Well, I'm 100% a catastrophist, man. Randall Carlson is this absolute genius. He's been on a bunch of episodes on Rogan. You can go watch too. That's where I first heard him. He subscribes to, and he's like basically smarter than any geologist. He's not a certified geologist from any university, but he's been a crazy geologist his entire life since he was a kid. And he's into like sacred geometry and a bunch of other really cool stuff. But he's been actually on the ground traveling, looking at all these ruins and stuff, and all these not ruins, but looking at all these natural like mountains and canyons and stuff that have been cut through massive releases of water. And the only way he says that you could get the amount of water to erode this stuff would be by and a guy J. Harlan Bretz came up with this a long time ago, but he didn't understand where the water would have came from. But now they think that during the Younger Dryas, at the peak of the last ice age, like over us right now, Nate, there would have been 2 kilometers of ice. 2 kilometers high, okay? Over all of North America until like halfway down in the States. That there was at least 3 to 4, maybe even as many as 5 or 6 impacts from comets that like came through this torrid meteor stream, came and broke up, hit the ice sheet, and like completely vaporized a ton of water. Like, and we're talking, Randall talks about it. He says that the amount of water, this is pretty even hard to imagine, this much water being released anywhere. He says, take every river on planet Earth, times it by 10. And that's the amount of water that got released in that one time. Wow. So they said, like, there's this one waterfall, they call it Dry Falls. It's like, 20 times bigger than Niagara Falls. It's taller, way wider. He says that whole thing was created in 2 weeks. And he's like, not only was this created in 2 weeks, he's like, it wasn't a waterfall then. This was underwater. It would have just been a ripple on the surface is what you would have seen if you were like able to go over top. That's how much water would have been flowing at the time. Would have been a ripple over the top. But we're talking thousands of feet deep, the water was. And it created this huge freaking, now you go look at it, Dry Falls it's called, and it's like this massive, it looks very similar to Niagara Falls. It's like in a horseshoe shape. But it's absolutely huge, man. So tall. Like Niagara Falls has taken hundreds of thousands of years, to make it the way it is. This one they're talking about it happened in less than 2 weeks, created that whole thing, right? So it's like that's a massive release of water.
Oh, for sure.
And they got all these different parts called the scablands and stuff. But you can go look at all the pictures. They got because now we have all these aerial footage and stuff too, right? So they got these, like on a beach when the waves are coming in, there's those little ripples of sand. They have those where you can go look at now, but they're like 50 meters high and they're like miles long. And when you're just driving on the ground, you don't even notice them. They just look like hills. But when you get up in a plane or they're just shooting drone footage of them, you can clearly tell that they're like ripples, exactly like that, like from the sound. Like all that was clearly underwater at one point, and had some massive current ripping over it to make all that. And all these crazy erratics, these glacial erratics that get carried in icebergs that are like at the top of mountains and stuff, where they're like, how would this have possibly gotten up here? There had to have been water up here at one point, and this got carried up in an iceberg and got deposited up here. The iceberg melted, and this huge rock got left there. Like that's how it's the only way they get there. And they're everywhere down there too, he says. And they're here too. Like we can go to Grand Coulee in Saskatchewan, apparently. It's a big place down by there. He names a whole bunch of spots.
There's a couple of spots where they just got like massive rocks that have no business being
there. Yeah, exactly.
I've seen a couple of them. I know there's one on the way to Vancouver there, I think, out by I can't remember where it's called. There's an Indian reserve out there, but there's like this big rock and it's standing up. It's like rounded on the bottom. And it's like, how'd that get there?
Yeah,
that makes no sense
at all.
There's a couple places in Alberta too, I think, like that.
Yeah, glacial erratics. They're carried in icebergs, and then that's it got deposited, right? The iceberg
that's wild.
comes to ground and melts away, and then leaves the rocks there, right? But it's like those are the two different camps, right? They got catastrophists, and catastrophists are completely ostracized if you even mention that there's rapid change, possibility of rapid change, like you get thrown out like that. J. Harlan Bretz took him like 50 years, because when he first came out with that theory, people would laugh at him. They'd invite him to talk, right? Invite him to speak at a university or something, and then they just have a bunch of people there to mock him, like geologists and stuff.
Yeah,
like they would just make fun of the guy, like he was a complete crazy man. That's what they'd even say, that he lost his mind, right? Like saying that there's a flood. We know for certain that there wasn't a big flood, right? But when he was like 90 some years old, they ended up saying that he was correct, that there was a big flood, but it came from this Lake Missoula, which is like, it was a big lake, and they say that it drained. He kind of made an exception, because he was like, he still didn't believe that this lake was big enough to cause the damage, and they wanted to say, instead of it being one massive dump of this lake, that it was like 6 or 7 times, right? And he was like, whatever, like let's just go with that, because he didn't. And he said, still at this point, never thought about the comet hitting it. He was like, the reason why he did that is because he couldn't account for the global change, why there would have been that much water melt. At first he said at first he thought maybe volcanism, like a volcano, right? But there's no volcanoes around where it would have happened. And then he was like, maybe it is some crazy global warming that happened, right? But they couldn't really account for that either. But after he died, they came out now they come out with this theory where they found like these little nano diamonds all over the planet. This crazy layer of soot you can dig out. It's like all over the planet from back in the day. Where they can account what year it would have been. It's like right around that 10,500 BC. Where they can tell there's like huge forest fires were burning and shit too, like in the areas that weren't glaciated, because the comets didn't just burst up on the ice sheet too. There was some that hit by Libya and stuff, and like in different areas and stuff too. So there was massive forest fires going at the same time. Not to mention that this comet did come in, blew up ground and everything all up into the sky, right? So it was like raining that soot. So they found that. So I feel like if that J. Harlan Bretz guy was alive when they started coming out with that evidence, he wouldn't have made those. He wouldn't have went back on his theory as much, because he kind of went back on it a little bit, saying like, yeah, you know, maybe it was this huge release from this lake, and it released 6 or 7 times to create the amount of water. But nowadays they even say like, even that lake, even draining it one big massive time, wouldn't even be close to enough water for it to do this crazy damage, right? So it's just funny, like the amount of suppression that goes on, and not just in our government, but like in every industry and in every like geology and all the sciences too, that are supposed to be so, you know, open to, you'd feel like they're open to change and open to the truth, that they're out for truth. But the truth is, everybody has their own invested interest. They've been teaching this stuff in universities for decades, you know, so there's professors that have dedicated their entire lives to teaching it this way. So it's like, they don't want to start going to class and be like, well, the last 30 years I've been wrong. You know, I've been teaching the wrong stuff. So they fight tooth and nail to make sure that there's no change. And they attack people with any new ideas, like Graham Hancock and stuff too. They've been attacking him for like decades now. And he's always just asked the question, like coming out with, you know, that there's weird things, like there's water erosion on the Sphinx, around the Sphinx. And they did this cool thing where they took pictures of all the erosion, where you can clearly tell, even me who's not a geologist, you could be like, that's water erosion. Right? It clearly is water erosion, and it's all around the walls of the Sphinx. So they took these pictures of it. They covered up the Sphinx with paper, brought it to geologists, and they said, what is this? All you can see is the lines, and they're like, well, it's water erosion. So they took the papers off, and they showed it was a Sphinx. None of them they all took back what they said, and none of them would go on record saying that it was water erosion.
That's crazy.
Except
they just didn't want to go against
the grain. Just one guy did, Robert Schoch, and he's from Boston University, and he's done it a few times, where he's gone out and he says 100% that that's water erosion on the Sphinx. And he says back to the same time, like 10,500 BC, he figures that's how long it would have taken, because that was the last time there was significant rainfall in the Sahara by where the Sphinx was. It makes a note, there had to have been like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years where there was significant rainfall for there to even be close to that much erosion around the Sphinx. It's not like it's a couple of storms went by. You know, it's a huge amount of rainfall. So it's like, how long ago would there have been rain over the desert where that Sphinx is right now? It's a long ass time ago.
For sure.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But he's like, he pretty much got ostracized too for it, right? And he's been on a few shows talking about it and stuff too. And he's actually pretty cool, man. He went to Easter Island talking about Easter Island, how they're...
That's pretty well.
Yeah, he thinks that it's way older too, right? Yeah. Those statues are not just heads, right?
No, it's the whole body underground.
Dude, they're like 30 feet buried in the ground, man. And that's...
Who did that?
And they're not, like, that's just... The crazy part is, Nate, to think about...
Yeah.
How long would it take under natural circumstances for that much dirt just to fall through the air to bury those things? Because that's what happened.
Yeah.
They weren't actually buried by people. You know, that's just how old they are.
Yeah.
They're like, now they're covered up to their necks.
So like you're looking at like how long does it take for something 30 feet tall to literally get buried by dust coming in? Yeah,
by dust coming in, man. That's what they say is like, you know, they're probably around that island. Because have you ever looked at where that island is? It's directly in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Completely insane. It's like right in the middle of the ocean, right? They think that island was part of a sunken continent.
Yeah.
That before the Ice Age was much bigger. And that's how, you know, there was a catastrophic event, probably the releasing of all the water from the ice sheet over North America, which raised the ocean level, which cut them off from the rest of the continent. They even have stories going back where there was other parts of it where they would still try to go back to and try to regenerate the land, but they all got buried in the end.
Yeah.
So then they were all stuck on Easter Island, basically. And that they had even a writing, but they nobody even knew how to read it anymore. By the time they had some pieces of wood where it was all written on, it's called like it's got a weird name to it. You can go look it up, but yeah, it's nobody knows how to read it till this day, but they just preserved them because they knew it was important, you know? And nobody knows how they did it, how they moved those statues either. The people that were still on the island, they have no idea.
That must have been insanely heavy.
Right? Oh yeah, they're friggin' huge, man. They're like, some of them were like 30 tons too.
Yeah.
You know, and they move these things all over the island. You can see some of them, they know where they carved them from because there's a couple in the quarry that are like still half carved. And like one of their theories was that they used trees to move these things around the island. They cut down every single tree on the island until there was no more trees. Then they couldn't move them anymore, and then they had no food, and they basically started dying out. It's like, I don't think that they were that dumb, to be honest. It seems like that's just you're saying that they're dumb.
Yeah.
Like and they're obviously clearly really smart if they can do these things, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they did cut down all their trees just because they were so isolated. I don't think that it was to move all their statues, though. You know. I think that, who knows, maybe there's some hidden technology again or forgotten technology that they were able to move those things at one point. And the crazy thing about all these things that I was saying, the older stuff is the best stuff. Kind of what you were saying earlier, how we've already forgotten the last 100 years how to make those handcrafted moldings. So like the oldest stuff at Easter Island, the oldest statues are the best statues. You know, and the biggest statues. Yeah. The newer ones are much smaller and more crude. So it's like you think that as the more you do it, the better it gets, right?
You'd think so.
So it's like, why is it getting worse?
Yeah.
Because they lost the technology there somewhere. Or like the people who were the journeymans, right? There was just an apprentice left.
Yeah.
You know? And he had to try to explain to somebody how to do it. Yeah. And then after the next apprentice went, it was like there was somebody else who wasn't quite as good as the apprentice even, you know what I mean? That he tried to tell it to. And then it just goes down the line until it's like basically just a shitty rock that somebody tried to make, you know what I mean? And that's basically what it turned into. But the beginning ones are masterpieces.
Yeah.
And it's like the progression should be going the other way.
You would think so.
You should start off not very good.
Yeah.
And that's the same with the pyramids. The oldest pyramids are the best pyramids. The newer pyramids are crappy.
Yeah.
Why is that? And they use smaller stones. The oldest pyramids, they use the biggest stones. Why is that? It doesn't make any sense. It's the exact opposite of how it should go. You should start learning how to do it. You could start by making mud bricks, making small stones, putting those all, making the pyramid. Be like, okay, now let's try doing it with a little bit bigger ones.
Yeah.
You know, you don't start off being like, okay, we're going to do one, but we're going to use like 30 or 100-ton stones like in the base of the pyramid and inside the Queen's Chamber and stuff. They got like 100-ton stones in there. 100-ton stone.
First try, they're like nailed it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. I think people, they can't really comprehend the weight of those stones, I don't think, and how hard it would have been to move them.
Maybe the next time around they had a union meeting. The union's like, 100-ton stones.
Yeah.
no, let's cut that down a little bit.
Yeah, we don't need that. Yeah, we'll go. And then let's not take as long either. We'll do a far worse job on the next one. Yeah.
You know, kind of that makes me think of a couple things. I have a personal theory that I think has proven pretty true throughout this century and possibly the century before. I believe that each generation is approximately half as tough as the generation that came before them.
Yeah.
Right. So I wonder if that's got something to do
with it. I could totally see that, man.
Right. And I also wonder, another thing I was thinking, I was watching a video yesterday on YouTube about, there's this church in New Mexico, and I can't remember what it's called, but they built this church, they built a choir loft on top of the church for the choir to go up to, but they didn't leave any room for the staircase. So the nuns there prayed for 12 days about, something to come along to fix their problem, about how they would come up the staircase. And this carpenter shows up with these really simple tools in a cart, and he says, I'll build you a staircase. And he builds them a staircase. It's actually quite famous. You can look it up. I can't remember what it's called, but if you look up, church staircase in New Mexico, I'm sure it'll come up. So he put this staircase together. It's a spiral staircase without a frame.
Oh, I think I heard about
and
this.
And there's nothing holding it together.
Yeah.
It's literally just placed. He just placed everything, and it's there's nothing holding it together.
Yeah, and there's no record of who this dude even was, right? Nobody really knew who this dude was.
Left. As soon as he finished it, he left. He didn't even wait for payment.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, so I wonder. There's a part of me that I think that we make a huge mistake of looking at ourselves and our world as being more special than
the most advanced. Right? Like we know more than every other person that's come before us.
Yeah.
And I think that's our Achilles heel to learning what actually happened in the past.
For sure.
Because here's kind of a good way to look at it too. Because do you think honestly, okay, say we almost get wiped out. There's only like a few thousand humans left on the planet, right? From right now. Okay. For one, in a few thousand years, all this stuff would be gone.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't be able to see nothing. We're talking 10,000 years. You wouldn't see any of these buildings. It would all be covered. There'd be nothing. You wouldn't notice anything at all. What you would notice maybe is if you had ended up coming into some new technology in the end, that you'd see like old roads and stuff. But do you honestly think, okay, say we all got wiped back, would we progress the exact same way that we did now? No. Very unlikely.
Yeah.
We'd probably find something else. And I think that's what happened. There was a whole other line of people back in the day, ancient folks, like pre-Ice Age days, who had a totally different way of looking at things. They weren't looking at stock markets and the economy and how to this kind of stuff, right? How to mass produce items, the cheapest, quickest way to produce the most stuff. They lived their lives totally different. And they're a totally different set that we have a hard time even thinking about right now because we're so into how we live right now.
Yeah.
But I think that they lived in a way that was more in harmony with the earth, and they just knew some things that we didn't. Like the one, like I was saying earlier, how that guy says how they said that guy floated stones at the Coral Castle. I think that there was something with like magnetics and stuff that they knew that we didn't know, and also how to soften stone. You go look at Sacsayhuaman in Mexico, where like the Incas were. It has one of the most crazy walls ever, dude. They got these stones that are like cut with all these different curves and edges and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they're massive, like 10-ton, 15-ton stones. They're put so perfectly together that you can't fit a piece of paper between them or anything. No mortar. No mortar used to hold these walls together at all. They're just perfectly flat. Perfect. Mm-hmm. It's fitting together like that. When I was working at a welding shop, we were building rigs. Big, massive rigs for the oil field. I remember specifically one time this guy, his job was there's this massive I-beam that came in. They had to cut it and they had to put an edge on it to fit completely perfectly with this other piece that was going into it. With tools today, it took this guy 2 days just to grind this piece, 2 full days to grind this piece of metal down to fit perfectly flat with this other piece. Yeah. We're talking about a piece of steel. Yeah, it was a piece of steel. It was pretty big, but it's like nowhere near what we're talking about, getting huge stones that are 12 tons, 15-ton stones, massive areas that have to be completely fit in with the stone beside it to have no mortar in them and sit for thousands and thousands of years. You know what I mean? Like,
that's wild.
It doesn't make any sense, man. No. It's like people act like it's no big deal. That's the thing. To me, it blows me away. Mm-hmm. You tell this to some people, they're like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, it's a rock.
Yeah.
They're like, but did you see the Oilers, dude? You see what McDavid did? You see McDavid? He did that triple deke? The old mighty Ducks triple deke?
Yeah.
Like, I love hockey and other things too, but that shit just super interests me, man. Like, I think we've just lost something in the past.
Oh, for sure.
You know? And I think we're just too distracted for people to even really think about it or to understand how important it is. Like, you know, that there could be a whole different way that we're doing this right now. And I think that is being kept from us.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not like in a nefarious way by a certain group that's keeping it, but it's like by the gatekeepers who are the professors who are, and it's all in their own individual interest because they don't want to be proven wrong. It's all ego in the end is what I feel like it is. It's ego.
And if you think about it too, like a lot of people might look at like the term gatekeepers or, you know, people holding us down as like a conspiracy theory, right? But if you think about it, it really comes down to two things, money and power. And the people who have the money and the people who have the power don't want us to change.
No, that's right, man.
Right, no. And it's not nefarious. It's not like they want to hurt us specifically.
Yeah,
they just want to help themselves.
That's right. They want to benefit themselves,
right? And
they know this is how you do it right now.
Yeah,
you keep us distracted. You keep us pumping out all this crap, you know, for their companies and stuff, and because they don't see all they want is more too. And I don't know if you ever watched Wall Street with. There was that old one with Michael Douglas, but there was another one with Shia LaBeouf did one there like a few years back with Michael Douglas was in it as well, but he was he kind of just got out of jail. But there's like a line in there that this guy uses, Josh Brolin, where Shia LaBeouf asks him like, well, how much money? You know, like, well, I find that everybody has a specific number, like when is enough? You know, what's your number? And he just says more. Yeah, it's like that's how these people think, right? It's like more money is more power, and they don't even think in the terms of dollars. I don't feel like they think in the terms of power. You know, what they can do to become more powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
Know, and have more influence on the world, and that I think it's tough. Like I think that's what holds a lot of people back. Maybe they're not even doing like we said. I don't think they're doing it. A lot of them like to like have a evil plan where they're sitting there like Mr. Burns, like I'm gonna make the world a terrible place. You know, they're just thinking about for their own selfish benefit at all times, right? Because there's a ton of cool stuff that we could be doing right now to figure out cool stuff about our history. Like for instance, so you ever heard of LiDAR before?
LiDAR?
Yeah. So LiDAR is like they have this new technology today where you can fly like drones over top of the forest canopy, and it can look down through the canopy without doing any actual archaeology or any ground penetrating radar. And it can show you the whole imprint of the ground underneath the foliage and stuff.
That's cool.
So they're using this now because, you know, when the conquistadors first took over the mines and stuff, started going to battle, they had all these stories like El Dorado and all this crazy stuff, right? Where all these big cities were. And people went back there 100 years later and there was nothing there. Yeah. It's because we killed everybody off of smallpox, but then the jungle grew in around these places. So like now, they just started flying these things over, and it was in Graham Hancock just did a show about it on Netflix there called The Ancient Apocalypse, and he did one of his episodes is dedicated to down in the Amazon, and they picked a random stretch, started flying these drones over it, found a whole bunch of new buildings and stuff in places that people didn't even know existed, right? They're just like pyramids and stuff underneath there. Nobody knew they were there. They just looked like hills in the jungle. Yeah. But they can totally tell what they are by flying this stuff over there. And he's like, all you need is like somebody who's rich and cared a little bit. You could completely change our history, our whole understanding of what history is in the Americas by just flying some drones. It wouldn't even cost you millions, you know. It may cost you $1 million, which for a billionaire like Elon or those guys, it's a drop in the bucket. Yeah, it's absolutely nothing, you know. You go fly a drone over top of the Amazon. What you're going to find is that the entire Amazon was populated at one time. Yeah. Huge cities everywhere, massive pyramids all over the place, and everybody thought it was BS because the jungle grew in over all this stuff, right? And who knows how old these stuff are. It'd be amazing to get in there after you know it's all there. You could pick some spots, go in there, start doing some archaeological excavations on, find out that, holy shite, this is way older than we thought. People have been around here for going back way farther than we thought. Oh, yeah. People only thought like the Clovis culture, like 10,000 years ago, is when people started coming over here through the Bering Sea land bridge, and then there was an open ice corridor where people could walk through the ice caps down to the lower Americas. But now they're finding out. Like I remember watching a documentary like 10, 15 years ago where this person was saying they found bones and stuff in like evidence of human activity like 30,000 years ago down in South America, they got fired. They had like really solid evidence and they got fired from their jobs. Now it's like completely commonplace. Everybody completely agrees. Yeah, 30,000 years ago, there was definitely people down there.
Isn't it crazy how much science is made to fit what they already think it is?
Yeah, exactly, man. It's supposed to be like the opposite way around.
Yeah.
You know, you do some, and you should be open to change.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not. It's to get so dogmatic. You get stuck in your own way of doing things. It's like, that's it. Yeah. This is the way it is. So it's like they fight new evidence tooth and nail. They don't want to see it because everybody has their own camp. Yeah. You know, and they're all people, archaeologists, scientists. It goes to every type of business and type of there's a word I'm looking for. I just keep missing it. Yeah. But like every like it's in everything. It's in art. It's in, you know, everybody thinks that what they're doing is the way. Yeah. You know, and I just don't think it comes down to ego in the end because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to say, and I kind of get it in a way. If you're thinking about it from their perspective, right? One of these guys have been teaching at Harvard, teaching students, had thousands and thousands of students go through there. They've printed so many textbooks about it. They've been teaching it as known fact forever, that this is what it is, you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden you get some outsider comes in, he's like, I don't think that's how it is. Like, what do you know, pal? I've been teaching this for 30 years. Like, well, look at all this evidence. We need to shut this guy up, like, now. Yeah. You know? We got way too much invested in this theory already that we have. Like, we can't have this guy coming in here and telling us what it is. He doesn't know. So they'll start making personal attacks on him or, you know, to try to make him seem like he's less credible.
You know, it's kind of funny, too. I remember science class. I believe it was Mr. Mills, grade 9 or grade 10.
Shout out to Mr. Mills.
Shout out to Mr. Mills. He actually, he started teaching us, and I remember him actually saying to us, he said, I am required to teach you this, but just so you know, if you were to go to university right now, this is no longer held to be true.
Oh, yeah?
But I'm required to teach you.
Yeah, there you go. Prime example, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man. Yeah, where we just... Why do we do that?
Yeah.
Like, why do we keep up with that? I feel like we'd be so much farther along, man, if we just go with where the evidence takes us. Yeah. You know, instead of...
And you know what? It used to be funny. I remember, if you look back in the day, like, you know, 1800s, scientists were just people who were really, really curious.
Yeah, curiosity.
And they just went out and taught themselves about things and learned about things, made some massive scientific discoveries. Yeah. I mean, you look at the theory of relativity, things like that. Those were done by people who were just very, very curious. Yeah, that's right. Very interested. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, we've lost that number. It seems like science is no longer curious. Science is trying to stay the same.
Yeah. It's when you're an outsider suggesting anything that's outrageous, it doesn't even have to be outrageous, but outside of the norm. Yeah. You're just ostracized. People do not want to talk about it, man. They won't go on record talking to you about it. You won't get funding is the biggest thing. Yeah. Lots of stuff comes down to funding, right? And if you go against the grain, you're not getting the funding for it. Yeah. So that's why a lot of people won't do anything, right? They won't. That goes right down to actually to global warming is a funny thing. I was watching a whole bunch of stuff about, like, by the way, global warming, shit's warming, guys.
Shit's warming up.
You know? But it also goes in huge cycles. The sun, don't let them tell you the sun has no part in it, okay? The sun does all the warming around here, okay? Like, we definitely could probably make it better with the carbon and whatnot, but we're not putting a huge impact on the heating process here. Like, the heating of the earth goes in cycles, and the sun plays a big part in that. Yeah. And all the funding that goes to all these studies. So if you're going to go fund something that's trying to prove global warming, you'll get all the funding you want.
Oh, yes, they want to prove it.
You're trying to go get some funding for something to prove that global warming is not real. You won't get any funding. Yeah, that's what it comes down to, and that's a shocker that I didn't know too. That I learned not that long ago. I've kind of had an inkling that that's what it was, or something like that. But then to hear it from people who've tried to do it, you know, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we just can't get funding.
Can't get funding,
you know, because we're trying to prove like, well, we have all kinds of facts, and the facts that carbon ain't doing it. The carbon ain't the reason why the Earth is warming. You know." They always go back to a certain time, like, oh, it's the warmest it's been in the last 1,000 years. Okay, well, what about the last 2,000? Yeah. Before there was cars, or 10,000 for that matter. It's the planet has been warming since the last ice age. They don't want to tell you that.
No.
You know, it's actually been warming for a while, guys. Yeah, a lot longer than what they say. There was actually a mini ice age in like the medieval times there, where they think that there was like a Tunguska-like event out of the torrid meteor stream that came, hit somewhere, and a volcano went off to at the same time and blocked out some of the sun, made like a couple years where there was a few winters where summer never came. And it was super cold and stuff too. So it's like, things happen, but they don't, that's like another catastrophist thing, right? They don't like talking about that.
Oh, have you ever heard of the Dust Bowl?
Yeah, the Great Dust Bowl, exactly.
The Great Dust Bowl, right? Back in the 20s?
Yeah.
I mean, we literally had, 2 years with no summer?
Yeah, dude.
Just here in North America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe it also affected the rest of the world too. But yeah, it was a massive amount of dust just all of a sudden came up.
Yeah.
And
well, that was partially because they were all planting the same crops, right? Yeah. And that that's something that they learned.
Yeah.
You can't plant the same crops on land over and over and over again. It just doesn't work. You have to plant other things. Regenerative. What's it?
It's kind of like
agriculture.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah.
It's like
regenerative agriculture.
Where they move the crops around.
Yeah, and you move them to different paddocks. One day you'll do corn there, the next year you'll do kale there.
Keeps you from stripping all the nutrients.
Yeah, that's right. And you're putting the nutrients back in, so it doesn't. And that's where that started back in the day. People realized
we're not farmers, obviously.
Yeah, not a farmer, guys. And I don't know why I'm struggling with that word so much, but yeah, regenerative.
Regenerative.
Yeah, regenerative?
Regenerative. I
think so. Regenerative.
Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah. The Worcestershire sauce. Yeah. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of cool stuff we could be doing if we had billions of dollars, you know. Like I like Elon because I'm fascinated by Mars too, and I think that I'd love to go to Mars too.
Oh, yeah.
There might be some evidence of some shit on Mars there, Navy too.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's very possible.
I think any human being alive that is going to believe that we are all there is in the universe is so like egotistical.
Yeah,
to believe that we're all that there can be. And I mean, I'm a religious person too.
Yeah.
And you can't look at the universe and say that this is it.
Yeah,
what we have on this planet is it.
I know.
Right?
It's shocking what people do. And there's so much evidence out there that there's like we're not that special. You know, I think that God probably created a lot of places out there. Yeah. And who knows what that is. Like if this is, you know, because there's talk of multiverses out there. There's talk of, you know, different planes of existence that we can't see, different dimensions and stuff. It's like there's so much out there that is super exciting and cool to think about. But then you got to go back to work.
Yeah.
Then you got to keep your mind busy though, guys, because they don't want you thinking about too much stuff.
Yeah.
You know, thinking about that there's more because they need you to be focused to keep the buck rolling.
Yeah.
You know, that I think is honestly a big part of it. I think that's why they don't teach you any, like, to me, when I was in high school, sure, some people find accounting and stuff like that's their jam, you know. But for me, man, it was like all the magical kind of stuff about it, the mystical stuff, the unknown, the mysteries. Yeah. That was exciting to me. Yeah, they don't teach you that kind of stuff, man. No. They want you to think that everything is known, everything that can be known is known now, basically, right? And that, you know, there's no point in asking anything new. That's pretty much just what we were talking about. You know, they don't want new theories coming out. They want more evidence to cement their theories that are already in place. They don't want new ideas, man. New ideas are scary to people.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's all I want is new ideas, because I've always had an inkling that this isn't it, man. There's something out there that we're totally missing. And I talked in the last episode about how I love like the native cultures. That's where I think that they had kind of the right idea. Like I think that we're not supposed to be living the way we are. I think that's why there's so much depression in our planet, in our world here, because there is zero purpose in working for the economy or caring about that stuff. It's like so hard, man, to find purpose in it. You just want to buy the next best thing and be a baller, you know. And it's like none of that creates a lot of purpose for most people. I think most people feel like they're missing something.
For sure.
You know?
I think personally myself, and I think Donovan would agree with me here that, you know, if I had the ability to just completely go back to nature, get rid of the computer, get rid of the cell phone, and just go back to living off the land like our ancestors did, I would feel pretty good about that.
Oh, yeah, man.
Right?
Be a way harder life physically,
yeah,
but so much more rewarding. I feel like it would be so much more rewarding. You're doing it with your family, with a small group of like-minded people where you're all working together for a similar goal.
Yeah.
It's huge. Everybody's so twisted and so selfish in our world right now. It's all they care about is themselves. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares about their fellow man or helping each other out. You know, people pretend that your good friends pretend to care about you, you know what I mean? But in the end, you post something on Facebook, you get 3 likes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like the people who like your page are people who don't know you. Who like your
Pretty
stuff.
much, eh? Yeah.
It's shocking, man. But it's true. The people who are supposed to be your friends, they don't like your stuff. Yeah. Even knowing people, you know, like I got 1,000 friends on the old FB, I'll get like 6 likes.
Yeah.
If I post it on something else, I'll get tons of likes, man. People who I don't know will love it. Yeah. You know, but it's like, because I don't know what it is. I think it's like, I don't know if it's just as simple as they get used to you or why they don't like it. But it's like, people are, when you say you want to do something, people are all about it until they see you starting to do it. And then they're like, well, no, because then it reminds them that they've given up on their dreams too. So they don't want you to succeed in your dreams, right? Yeah. So it's like, they kind of shut you down too. So it's a weird thing that we have. We're very selfish that way. Yeah. Where we're not actually looking to boost each other up. But I feel like back in the day, a tight group like that could have done amazing things, man. You know, even just building little communities. You're all going out hunting in a party. You know, you all come back with a buffalo. Everybody's just ecstatic. You guys got a buffalo. You all have a big dance. Everybody does their part. You're all combined. You're all together. You know, everybody's celebrating and everybody's working for the same goal. You do not have that anymore. Even at work, you know what I mean? We're all working at a company, but 99% of the people there are working there because they absolutely have to and they need it to pay bills. They're not doing it because that's their passion in life. Very few people, maybe the owners of the companies, that's their passion. But the average employee, I'd almost go as far as to say 90% of all the employees on the planet aren't doing what they love.
No.
You know, because they can't. And all the people at their place of work don't like the same things either. So you might have a person or two that you can talk to and have like-minded discussions with, but in a normal day, you don't meet too many people that think the same way as you, you know, or that you can have really deep discussions with because you don't have that same group working towards the same goals. Back in the day, that's what you all would have been doing. You all would have been working together, trying to accomplish a goal. And when you accomplish a goal together, the satisfaction of that and the feeling of purpose would have been so huge, man. Where people just could have been like rejoicing in it all together, feeling genuinely happy for everybody around. Yeah. Genuine happiness, not jealousy. You know, because I think that's what takes over nowadays. You see somebody happy and people get jealous of it. You know,
for sure.
They don't like that they see you doing well. Yeah. They get jealous and they'll talk shit about you or whatever to try to like, you know, oh, I remember him doing this. Look what a guy. You know, look at now, look at what they're doing that. Look at people are liking his stuff. Like, then they get mad about it. Yeah. But it's like, man, we should all be working together, be happy for one another.
Yeah. And if you think about it, it's really funny too. Like, if you were to take a group of people and have a group of people just work towards making the group better.
Yeah.
Right? Their own individual self and trying to help everybody else in the group.
Yeah.
You would find a group of people that get so much further ahead.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's always going to be somebody in there that's going to go, that person's starting to do too good.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? I just got to pull back a little bit on my support for this person. They're doing too well.
Yeah.
Right? But at the end of the day, if you're part of a group and that person's doing well, then you're doing well too.
Exactly, man. Your whole group's doing well. You guys are all one unit. It's like a marriage or like a family. Yeah. You know? It's like nowadays marriage is even so separated. You know, you got to be equal parts with this and that with your... Like we each have our own roles, but together we're making like a stronger thing. Yeah. It's like, that's what the one thing I love about me and my lady, man. Like nothing is mine. Nothing is hers. Yeah. It's all ours. Everything we do is ours. Mine, like the money that I make at my job is our money, you know? And when she's helping out at home with her money too, it's our money. And like with schooling that because we homeschool Autumn, you know, it's our job. It's not hers or mine. It's ours. You know, everything is ours. And that's, so when we have a small success where all of a sudden we're doing better, we're both so happy for each other. Right. But we're also, when one of us is having a down day or something, where we look at something's not going right, it's not like one person, hey, you're doing something bad. It's like, we're not doing something right together. You know what I mean? It's always, and I think that's what makes us a strong unit. And I think that's missing with a lot of people's relationships nowadays. It's always so one-sided. Everybody bickering about this and that. And it's like, you guys are a unit. You guys are a unit, and that's the only way to look at it is like you guys you're doing everything together.
Yeah.
And when one of you lose, you both lose. You got to try picking each other up and making as strongest unit you can, and that's how your family's going to move forward, and like your lives are going to improve too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's I don't know, man. I just don't think don't think the world's geared towards that anymore, at all. I don't think that's if anything, it's like geared to making it the opposite.
Yeah. Everybody's separate.
Yeah. So separate and selfish.
Keeping everybody apart.
Yeah. They say that everything's more, we're closer connected than ever before because of all the social media and stuff. All that stuff has done is make us farther, more disconnected. And I guarantee you go back and look at the stats. I don't even need to look at them, but I would. Somebody prove me wrong and message me that I'm wrong. You go look at the depression rate from now, 2024 to 1985.
Yeah.
Before computers were around.
Well, there's way more depression.
The depression, I bet you, is 10 times more, if not more than that, of what it used to be, And just the feelings of like...
And I have actually gone over the stats on that. I did a video on suicide rates.
Yeah.
For especially, and it's horribly bad. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. But men.
Yeah.
Men. The depression and suicide rates in men, how much they've skyrocketed in the last 57 to 70 years it's insane.
Yeah, I bet, man.
It's insane.
Because they're taking our purpose away.
Yeah. A man requires purpose. A man requires the ability to work towards something. If you're not working towards something and putting in some struggle, everybody wants to be comfortable nowadays.
Yeah, that's a problem,
right? You're not supposed to be comfortable. If you're comfortable, you're stagnating.
Yeah.
You're not getting anywhere. In fact, you're falling back. The second that you stop moving forward, you start falling back. It may not feel like it for a while, but you wake up one day and you go, I've lost something.
Yeah.
I've fallen back from there. Now I got to fight to get back.
Yeah.
Right? So you should be fighting the whole time.
That's right.
And it might even sound, that even sounds, to some people, it might sound counterproductive, right? If for a guy to struggle all the time, how's that going to make him feel better? It does. We're meant to.
Yeah, I agree. I heard old JP talk about the one time when he's like, what men need to do is to learn how to become a monster.
Yes.
And then learn how to control it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you need to be vicious and competitive and like towards your own goals, and then you need to learn how to control it. I think he said at the beginning of it was like the most powerful man is the man who carries a sword that never has to pull it from his sheath, because he just has that power that he just knows that he could at any time destroy shit. If he wanted to, he can mess everybody up, but he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
That's the most powerful man out there.
For sure.
And that's a big thing, man. People are so scared to talk like that, even to talk about masculinity and talk about being strong. But man, men are missing that. We are missing it in a big way. And I've felt really sad in the past too, just from not thinking about that. It's like, where's my purpose in life? Is this my purpose? Because it sure shit don't feel like my purpose. Going to work every day at a job that I absolutely hate and trying to think about how many days and how many hours every day that you're wasting on this, that you absolutely do not like, you don't have any passion for it, but something that you're required to do just to fit into the civilization that's been created here. And that's like, I completely get why men are so sad and why there's a lot of depression and stuff, because there just is no purpose. Like, you need to really reach out and find something. And another thing is like we just talked about, it's like when you're doing that, when you finally decide that you're going to go push for something, you get no support from the people that are supposed to love you.
Yeah.
The people that are your friends and stuff. It's like the support's not there. It's just like and it's hard to see that and to understand it, but it's like that's just how it is. And that's how a lot of people who are in like famous people or people who have made it do always say that. We're like, I told my mom and dad that I was going to do this, or I told my friends that I was going to go do this, and they all said, what are you doing? You're crazy. You're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You're not. The whole way that they were like, no, you're crazy. What are you doing? So it's tough, man.
That actually blows me away. That whole idea that if anybody ever tells you that you can't do something, don't listen. Don't listen. 9 times out of 10, they're doing it because they just don't want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
and they're trying to pull you back. It's that thing. This person's doing better than me. I need to pull them back. Now the really crazy thing is, if you look out there in this world today, this world is filled with weakness and immorality, and you can absolutely do whatever you want to do. You just have to put in the work.
Yeah.
Right? There is nothing holding you back. There's nobody out there strong enough to take it from you.
No.
I remember this quote that I heard. It said, nobody wants to stand in the way of someone who refuses to give up, who refuses to stop fighting. Yeah, there is nobody out there that is going to keep you from getting what you want if you're willing to fight for what you want.
Yeah, you just got to push through it.
You just got to push through it. That's all it takes. It's struggle, right? And we're actually in a situation now where it's quite a bit easier now than it has been in the past, because there's not much competition.
Yeah, so many weak people out there.
There's so many weak people out there.
Yeah. Well, it's just hard. I think we kind of talked about this before too, but it's like, for this kind of stuff that we're doing, like putting yourself out there is tough, right?
Yeah.
Because then you just get shamed and stuff by people. It's like, and there's the people who do that too are just like you said, they're the people who have always been too scared to reach for their own goals.
Yeah.
And it's like, but they're always the first to go comment on somebody else's thing about how terrible they are or doing anything else. Meanwhile, they're sitting in their house full of squalor or shit in their ginch, and they're just like, screw you for succeeding. You know, right. trying to better yourself. Who do you think you are? Go eat some more food.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people that always chirp. So that's what you got to think about when you're reading bad comments or something like that too. It's just like, these people absolutely hate their lives.
Oh, for sure.
Because I've never in my whole life, since social media has been around, went on to other people's pages to crap on them.
Yeah.
Never have I done that. If there's something that I don't like to watch, guess what I do? I don't watch it. Yeah, I don't go in there and start commenting on how terrible it is and what are you thinking. Like there's some, I was watching this Tom Segura, the comedian there, where he talks about, it's like, they think it's hilarious, right? But it's like this girl's just posting wholesome videos talking about her day and about what she does, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, they're just going through all the roasting comments on there. That's all it is. It's like comments, they're like, sending hate from Australia. Mm-hmm. And they're like, just so you know, I woke up at 2 a.m. just to tell you that you're fucking terrible. Go kill yourself.
Oh my God,
it's just
that's
like,
horrible.
Yeah, just like hundreds and hundreds of comments. So like another one was like, I've been hating on this chick since before it was cool. Yeah. You know, it's like, it's all there is. There's no happy comments. Just everybody goes there just to roast this poor girl.
My
you know,
God.
And it's like she's just a nice wholesome girl talking about cooking or whatever it was. You know, and it's like all it is people just go there just to hate on this girl. That's a human being who's just looking at that and thinking everybody wants her to kill herself, and it's like, what kind of shit is that?
Yeah.
You know, who the hell are these people out there saying this stuff, man? It's terrible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, these are just normal people out there, guys, just like yourselves. And that gives you a little moment of laughter, but it ain't giving her any laughter, I guarantee you that. And yeah, what if she did go do that one day?
Yeah.
After everybody posted all these videos about it, would you still think it's hilarious? You might think about it for 5 seconds, and then you'd probably go do it again, because that's how shitty a lot of these people are.
Yeah.
But because they don't consider themselves actually part of the problem, you know? Like,
I got this whole troll culture right now, right? This idea that you just go after people online for like no reason, and just try to tear them down, and literally just to try to tear them down, just to mess with them.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
They're despicable humans.
They're despicable human beings. Yeah. Like literally waste your skins.
I think they are too, man.
If you're one of those people who does that to people, like drop on the ground and die. I don't care.
Yeah, honestly.
Like,
yeah, you're a pretty terrible person to be going strictly looking around just to try to hurt people like on social media. Because I guarantee you, majority of you would never say that to somebody's face because you're too scared. Yeah. You'd get punched right in your mouth. And you're just too scared to actually say stuff like that out in public. Mm-hmm. So you go hide behind your computer, behind your fake accounts, and then go start mouthing people off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's what they do. They go on to social media, go look for videos, look for people just to troll.
Yeah.
Just to say mean things to and terrible comments to. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I'm losing faith in humanity. Like, the way that, I don't know, that's the fact that that's so popular.
Yeah. But you know, it's kind of funny too. Like I see a bunch of that. I do a bunch of posts on my regular Facebook page, and every once in a while I'll have something that'll go, you know, a little bit viral, and I'll start getting these comments from people, you know, saying that I should just die, that I should just kill myself, that I'm a waste of skin, That, you know, or what was it? One guy's like, I showed you that one. That guy's like, are all you MAGA people gonna come and kill me now? And I'm like, dude, like,
what are you talking about?
Like, it's got nothing to do with what I posted. I posted something positive, and because it's positive in a masculine way, everybody thinks I'm trying to kill a bunch of feminists or something, and that I should just be destroyed. And I don't get it, but I really don't care anymore either. I just assume that those people are horrible human beings, and I do not let them affect me.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard to start with that, but you don't even know these people.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
What I try to think of them as now, too, is like, they're like an NPC player in a game, like a non-player character. Mm-hmm. You know, when like you're playing like a game and you go into like the store and like there's an armorer in there where you always buy your armor from or whatever.
Yeah.
Every time you go in that store, that guy's there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like he's just not a real character in the game. You go in there in the middle of the night, he's there. Go in there during the day, he's there. It's like that's just they're a non-player character out in the real world here. But it's like they're people that I don't actually never gonna have to meet. They're just there, taking up space, you know? So it's like that's how you gotta think about those people. And they're not actually out to say anything bad about you personally. They don't actually care. They go right on to the next person too.
Yeah.
You know, they said their two pieces to you, now they're going to go say it to somebody else, and they're going to go say it to somebody else. But deep down, most likely it's because they hate themselves.
Yeah.
You know, that's really where it comes from. And they want everybody else to feel as miserable as they are. Because nobody who's happy with themselves and happy with the way things are going in life would do that stuff.
No.
That's just plain to see for me, man.
Somebody who's happy with themselves and where their life is going is not trying to tear somebody else.
Yeah. Would never even consider going on those just to do that during the day. Yeah. You know?
I remember this quote. I think Bedros Killian might have said it. He said, nobody who is more successful than you will try to push you down.
Yeah, I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Those people, they're more successful than you. They like seeing people come up.
Yeah.
Right? It's the people who are below you, the people who aren't as successful as you. They're the ones, they want to pull you back down.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's really horrible because, like you said, it's a lot of times it's the people that are supposed to be your friends.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll give you a little bit of support at the beginning until you start getting going a little bit, and then they're like, "Oh no, this isn't any good."
Yeah, this ain't gonna work. Right? It's never gonna work. It's never gonna work.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, or stop pushing you at all.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like on my personal Facebook page, I don't get a lot of interaction either.
Yeah.
But I go onto my Good Man Initiative Facebook page, and I get thousands of people. I get people who are. I just recently had another guy start up his own page. It's called the Hope Crew. If you look it up on Facebook, he's been following me for a while, and he started up his own page, and he's actually dealing with helping people come out or get over addiction. Right,
yeah,
and that's something that I helped push him towards, and that makes me feel really good.
That's awesome.
You know, that's really cool to me, and to see other people doing that too. I mean, you got to adjust your expectations. You got to adjust what you want to get out of your life, and you have to start believing that you're worth better.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people, if you're allowing yourself to stay down and to stay in a position that you're unhappy with, then in some level you don't believe that you're worth more. And you have to change that about yourself.
Yeah. And that's like that imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where it feels like, who am I to tell anybody anything? You know what I mean? But who is anybody to tell anybody anything? You know what I mean? Who's Rogan? He's just a dude, you know, but we all put him on this pedestal like there's something special, right? They're just guys. They're just people, you know? And, you know, in the end, what we have to say is just as valid as what anybody else has to say.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't feel like that. And it is definitely, that's a real thing too, just to feel like, who am I to tell anybody anything when you get on a big stage to tell people things? But we all have valid points. We all know things that other people don't know. You know, there's a lot of people who know stuff that I don't know, and a lot of stuff I know that other people don't know. So it's worth just sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing our knowledge, finding some common ground.
For sure. And I think too that when it comes along with that, I think that anybody, once you start deciding to work on your life in a certain way and to make your life better, you start seeing things differently. And I think you'll find that a lot of the people who become successful in those ways think the same.
Yeah, I agree.
You'll find that a lot of those people have the same positive ideas on building things, on helping other people. Like, one of the things that I believe that has helped me with what success I do have is that I have now adjusted my life where it's not about me anymore. My life is mostly about service to others. I want to make my life something that helps build other people, build their lives. So that makes my life, like I said, be in service to others. I've made my life, what I do here is less about what I want to do for a living and more about what I feel is my calling. So my life has purpose.
Yeah, that's
right?
awesome.
And I feel that when you look at really successful people, their life becomes something more to them. Oddly enough, too, I don't know if you know this, but most truly, truly successful people, even like millionaires, billionaires, are quite religious.
Yeah.
Having faith is something that really helps you. Become successful.
No, I definitely agree with that, man. Yeah, and it's something that the current climate in our countries, you know, is like looked down on.
Yeah.
You know, if you're religious, it's like you're just a nut.
Mm-hmm.
But it's totally the opposite. I think that the people who aren't are actually pretty much batshit crazy most of the time. You know, they got a terrible way of looking at life. And they're all very super selfish. It's all about me, what's the next for me. And they don't ever look at helping out others, right?
Yeah.
Even so, as far as saying please and thank yous, like, well, that's even out the window for the most part. Growing up, I used to call everybody by their last name. Like, it'd be, you know, Mr. Moore, or, you know, whoever your neighbors were, you know, Mr. Jans. I have never had a person call me Mr. Any of the kids. They all think we're on the same level playing field, like an 8-year-old kid coming over calling me Donovan. It's like, pardon me? It just doesn't, I don't know, it feels weird, man.
I hear you.
It's like, no, it's Mr. Wheaton. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know, that's just not, people do not tell their kids to do that anymore, right? They don't show them their respect.
I think that's super important.
It is, dude.
Having basic respect for people is super important.
Well, it's huge, man. And it's definitely been lost in our state, in our culture.
Definitely has. I find that I use sir and ma'am as much as I possibly can.
Me too.
Right. I just believe that's respectful. I believe that it's the proper way to treat people.
Yeah.
Right. Now, a lot of people will say, "Oh, respect has to be earned," but I think what we've lost is that at a very basic level, a certain amount of respect should be just given.
That's right. It should be.
Right.
How do you're going to give respect to somebody you don't know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like, that person hasn't earned it. It's like, yeah, but you're giving respect to them because they're another human being that you're interacting with. You're seeing on a daily basis. Or you see at the store. I'm not going to go in there and be like, push them around. Well, earn it first. Mm-hmm. You know? It's like you teach them all. I like to think of it like innocent till proven guilty.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, I feel like they've earned it until they prove to me that they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
You know? Then maybe I'll show them less respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But it's like, as far as I'm concerned, everybody deserves all the respect in the world until they prove to me otherwise.
Yes.
And that's how I treat my daily life, man.
Yeah.
I try to go out every day, and I honestly think, like, how can I make somebody's day a little bit better? Mm-hmm. And that helps me get through my day, where I've put a smile on. Even when I'm feeling really down, if I'm feeling really bummed out, I'll still go to work with a smile on my face and try to make other people laugh too, and try to, like, make their day a little bit better. That in turn makes my day better. And it's because I know what it feels like to feel really crappy. So it's like, at the same time, I know that I can help with that by just being funny and stuff and doing my normal thing. So I don't want to, I don't want them to be sad. So I'll go out and try to be funny, try to put some smile on people's faces and stuff too. And that helps me get through my day. Because then I'm like, I did something that's worth it today. You know, I made some people laugh, cheered some people up. And that helps me out too. So it's like, even when I'm feeling down, that's a way to do it too. But going out, constantly talking about how crappy everything or how sad you are all the time, you know, how your problems, this and that, it's like, everybody has problems. So to focus on that and talk about that all day, isn't good either. No. It's fine to talk about it, you know, with your people that you care about or your close friends, and sure, they should care about it and talk to you about it. But they should also, if you've been talking about it for 3 months straight, or just sitting there sulking for months at a time, it's up to your friends and everybody else to kick you in the butt too and be like, hey,
yeah, and pull yourself out of this.
Pull out of this rut, dude, because it ain't helping anybody. You know, you're bumming everybody out all the time, and you need to shape up. You know, and start getting back on, because for one, chicks don't find it attractive. It's if that's what it is, if it's because they've been broken up with or whatever. I remember back in the day, I did that. I remember one of my first girlfriends breaking up with me, And I was like down for months, just hating myself over it. Like, oh man, my life's never going to be the same. When you're a little kid, it's like super important, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like later on in life, I was like, man, what was I doing? Like, you're just making yourself extremely unattractive to people, for one, you know, when you're trying to like attract a gal or whatever. But two, just for your own persona, like for friends, for everything. You're going to walk into a room and people are like, oh God.
Yeah.
Here comes this sad sack. And I have to listen to this, hey guys, like Eeyore.
Yeah.
Hey guys. Like just always down in the dumps, right? You got to cheer up, man. And that in turn attracts, it's like positive attraction, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you do good things happen. You think about negative things all the time, negative things happen.
Well, it's manifestation.
Manifestation, man, 100%. Yeah, positive manifestation.
Yeah. We were talking about manifestation.
Oh, that's right.
I believe.
Yeah. Very crucial thing that I think a lot of people don't think about.
For sure.
They'll understand why they're constantly thinking negative things and negative things are constantly happening.
Yeah.
You know?
I keep telling people, you know, stop putting negative things online, especially right. Nobody wants to. First off, nobody wants to hear all your negative stuff, and the people who do just want to laugh at you, or they want to make themselves feel better about themselves by going, "Look how bad that guy got it. I don't have it nearly as bad as that guy."
Yeah.
But nobody's respecting you for it, and nothing good is coming from anything like that.
No.
So yeah, you're not getting respect from people for doing that, but you're also not showing any respect for yourself. Right?
Yeah.
And if you're not showing respect for yourself, then you're not giving yourself respect.
Yeah, that's true.
It is so easy for us to feel bad about ourselves and just allow ourselves to get a lot worse than we could possibly get if we were willing to stand up and work.
To fall into a pit of despair all the time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you fall into the pit of despair and just, the whole world falls apart on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's super easy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like part of the struggle, right?
For sure.
You gotta fight every day for it, man. I was, we might have mentioned this before, but I was telling my daughter about this here recently that I was watching a thing about Trump talking about it where he's just talking about depression. And he's like, if you're depressed, you need to work more. Just work harder at everything. He's like, because I'm too busy to be depressed. When you're working, you're too busy to be depressed. You're thinking about other things. You're thinking about work. You're thinking about this. You're thinking about that. It's when you have an excess amount of time on your hands where you start feeling like, and I think the main reason why people start feeling depressed is knowing that you could have done more and you didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is a huge factor in depression.
Yeah.
Knowing that you could have done more and you didn't. And every day, that's going to add up. Yeah. And again, you did it for another day and again for another day. Because time's one thing you don't get back. And every day you do that is another day lost, man. Yeah. It's like your time here is so finite. And if you don't catch yourself, like before you know it, man, years of your life are gone where you're just being sad, thinking about things that you didn't do 5 years ago, where time, it's past. Past is past. You need to work on right now, work on the present, because before you know it, you're like, your life could be over. Yeah. And you spent the last how long worrying about something that happened 10 years ago when nobody else is thinking about that anymore. Yeah. You know, we think about some things in our mind for some reason, it just sticks with us. I saw Jordan Peterson talking about this. Actually, I think I saw a clip of it today where he was saying if there is a thought that you have that happened, or like something that happened 18 months ago, and when you think about it, you still feel emotion about it, like you still feel sadness and stuff, that's a wound that is never healed, and you're carrying the weight of that on you still to this day, and that increases like every bad thing, but it ages you drastically by having all these bad things that you're carrying that you never let go. And letting go is hard. You know, it's like there's some things in life that I've had happen before where I'm like, is it okay to let go? Yeah. You know, like wondering, you know, has it been an acceptable amount of time for me to be okay about this? Or like, should I be okay with it? Yeah. You know, but it does nothing for you to feel bad about yourself or feel like you did something wrong and continue feeling like that later on, because like I just said, like time is precious, and the more time you lose, the worse you're going to feel. Yeah. It's like you need to take action now to try to better yourself and to make yourself happy, because it's one small step at a time, and before you know it, you won't even recognize the old sad you anymore. Yeah. You know, it's like you'll be like, what was I doing? why did I waste so much time thinking about that stuff?
Exactly right. I think it's super important. You know, not a lot of people talk about this. You hear a lot of people talk about, you know, building towards a future, or how do you deal with the past, right? How do you deal with things that have happened to you? Both things that have been done to you and things that you've done that make you feel bad about yourself, right? And the important thing is, at the end of the day, you got to look back and you got to really look at those things. The things that you did wrong, you got to really look and you got to go, okay, I forgive myself.
Yeah.
You know, I forgive myself for that. Understand that it was wrong. Understand that you did wrong. Take acceptance of it, but forgive yourself for it. And then for the things that were done to you, you need to do the same thing,
mm-hmm.
right? If somebody did something to you that was horrible, you need to forgive them for it, because not forgiving them for it isn't helping you.
That's right.
Right? It's making your life worse, because it's something, it's like you said, it's a wound, right?
Yeah, it's a wound that's not healing.
And if you're carrying that wound with you, you can't work past it. Now, forgiving people, right? This all sounds altruistic, you know, make sure you forgive everybody. At the end of the day, don't forget. Do not ever forget that that person did that to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You need to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that you prepare yourself for a future that will make sure that that doesn't happen again. But you have to forgive them. What that means is, who was it? Tupac had this quote that I really, really liked. It said, "I don't want to see you not eat. I just don't want to see you eat at my table."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
Right? You forgive people, you send them on their way, and you leave them out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Those people who hurt you, they're you don't keep those people with you. You make sure that the people that are with you aren't sabotaging what you've got going on.
Yeah.
You know? Make sure that the people in your boat aren't cutting holes in the boat.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to do. People want to always like hold on to past relationships and stuff, right? Because like, oh, I've been friends with this guy for 20 years or whatever, you know, but it's like, have they done anything for you though?
Yeah.
Are they truly your friends? You know? I'd like to say I probably got half a dozen friends that I've true good friends that I still talk to, that I know are rooting for me.
Yeah.
You know, that I know are like, I could talk to you about anything and they're going to be sincerely care about the things that are going on and things that are happening with my life and stuff. But there's, I got tons of people that I grew up with that I'm sure that I'd almost consider just acquaintances nowadays, right? That they're not really all that concerned with anything. And if anything, they're probably rooting against me, right?
Yeah.
Another good thing JP said, I watched him, their old Jordan Peterson, he said, you know, be careful for who you share your bad news with, but like be extra careful even with who you share your good news with.
Yes. Because,
you know, that's where you'll really find out who your real friends are, you know, sharing good news where it's sad. Because, you know, it's like you tell them good news and they don't want to hear it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it is true.
Yeah.
Not everybody you think is your friend is your friend.
No.
Not everybody you think is rooting for you is rooting for you. And a lot of those people are people that should root for you.
Yeah.
You know, family members, people you've known for decades, people that, especially when you change your life, right? If you look at somebody, I'll use this as an analogy, somebody who has an addiction. Right? When you're an addict hanging out with a bunch of addicts, oh, you're great friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? You're all looking for that next high and you are the best of friends.
Yeah.
But the second one of you isn't an addict anymore.
Yeah.
They do not want to see you.
No, they don't want to see you succeed or get out of that zone, right?
Yeah.
They want to pull you back in, just like the crabs in the bucket.
Just like the crabs in the bucket.
Don't let a crab get out the top. They start yanking them back down, right?
Back in.
Yeah. And that's how it is, man. That's how life is. It's a sad thing, man. People would rather see you at the bottom than see you succeed.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, every once in a while, I think you'll find that the people who you find that do want to see you succeed, they tend to be the people who are also striving for success.
Yeah, they're successful themselves. That's right, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're already doing well in their lives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the people who are fighting for it every day are struggling. You're right, man. They don't want to see other people. And that's the people that you got to let go, I think. You know?
Yeah.
Or just at least not carry it with you, not be upset that they're not rooting for you. You just got to understand why they're not, you know, and be like, they're the NPCs in the game now. They're the non-player characters, you know, what they're saying or what they're thinking about. Just because I know them doesn't mean that I'm going to let it affect me and how my day is going, you know.
And this one guy, Bedros Killian, he's a very interesting guy too. Very successful, and he's I'd put him almost right up there with Jordan Peterson on the how strong a lot of what he says is. And he talks about a lot more from a business standpoint though. He was a business owner, and he went from being a personal trainer to owning a gym business, Fit Body Boot Camp. And I forget, it's like 15 to 1,700 locations around the world.
Yeah, well.
Massive. And he talks a lot about, this one quote that he has that always stuck with me is, you become an average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. If the 5 people that you hang out with are people who try to push other people down and try to hold each other down, then that's what you become. Right? You can't help it. People react to their environments, and if you live in an environment, doesn't matter how positive you want to be, if you live in an environment where the people that you are with are negative, you'll become negative. You can't control that, right?
I like that.
You can pull yourself out of it. You can pull yourself out of a bad situation, but you can't stay there. Mm-hmm. Even when you pull yourself out of that bad situation, what you have to do is you have to take those negative people and you have to put them at an arm's distance.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to get away from them completely, but you have to stop letting them affect your life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right, man. Because it's pretty much the same kind of mentality as the addicts, right? Mm-hmm. It's like even people if you're an alcoholic and you get off the booze, if you're still hanging around with alcoholics all day that are drinking, eventually you're just going to fall off the wagon again, right? Oh, yeah. You're going to be back drinking again because it's like it'll just one day something bad will happen and be like, whatever, forget it. Things aren't going my way. You're going to start drinking again and you get back at it. So it's like you need to distance yourself from that, find new friends who are reaching for new goals too. And then you can be there to support one of your old friends when they come out. That's right. When they're looking to change their lives, right? Yeah. Looking to try to start something new. Then you can be there to support them and show them how to get there. I think that's a good point, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. This is the 5 people, hey?
It's kind of funny how the human mind works, too. We get comfortable in misery.
Yeah.
Yeah. All throughout history, you see people who have become comfortable in misery. You look at people that live in just the absolute worst countries in the world right now, and they're okay with it. They're comfortable in their misery. Yeah. It becomes a part of you, and sometimes, the human mind it's an extremely weird thing. You'll get yourself out of that misery, and then when you start sliding back in, it feels comfortable again. It
feels like you don't deserve the happiness, really, is what it is, right, too? Because you're just like, you're so comfortable. Yeah. You're like you don't want to leave that person behind, the sad person. Yeah. It's like, that's what you've been dealing with your whole life, But yeah, I watched actually Theo Vaughn, the comedian, they're talking to Tony Robbins about that. Yeah. Yeah. And he said that basically exact thing. Tony was trying to talk to him like, well, what's your deal? And he's like, I just feel like when I start doing too good, like deep down, I'm just like, I don't want to leave the misery behind because I'm so used to it, so comfortable with it, right? Mm-hmm. So he'll always like resort back to that. And he kind of says the same thing. Tony says like, you need to forgive, and understand that, it's okay to let that person go. Yeah. And be, let yourself, the sad version of yourself, that you can always, like, if things don't go well, you can be like, oh, it's because I've always had this going against me. If I had this going against me, that's why nothing ever works out for me. So then it's like you're creating an excuse for just in case failure happens. Yeah. Instead of creating a person that failure is not going to happen to. Yes. That's going to succeed instead. It's like, that's kind of what it does. So then it's like, you're almost there all the time. And then it comes back and it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to fail. So it's like, I can't finish doing it because I'm this. I went through all these struggles and I'm like, it's never going to work out for me. And you have that little pity party, and that's all it takes sometimes to bring you right back down again. Oh yeah. Yeah, you got to set yourself up for success instead of setting yourself up for failure in the mind, Got to have a strong mind. It's kind of funny, I gotta tell a story here. I've never told this story before, at least not on camera. I reached a point where I pulled myself up. And the reason I did that is because I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me I was going to die. I was going to have a heart attack, and I was pre-diabetic. And I had to take a long look at my life and figure out what I was going to do with myself. I remember thinking, I was eating a plate of spaghetti, actually, in my living room, and I remember thinking,
one day I'm just going to keel over and die in my plate of spaghetti. And they're going to come pull my naked body out, fat, covered in spaghetti sauce all over my face on a stretcher. And that's going to be my legacy.
Yeah.
Right? So I had to start going to the gym. And this really interesting thing happened when I started learning how to be healthy and how to work out and how to exercise properly. It taught me a bunch of things, delayed gratification, motivation. It taught me how to continue on when I wasn't motivated, how to work towards something when my whole body was screaming at me and my mind was screaming at me, we're done, to just get up and do it anyways. And I had to really look at my life. Other than that, like you have to deal with your root causes when you're in a situation like that. You can't just affect the surface. You got to go deep.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I had to look back, and I had to do a lot of forgiving, and I had to forgive myself for a lot of things, and I had to forgive a lot of people for a lot of things. And one thing that I realized was I went through my family life over, basically my whole life, and. If anybody in my family is listening, I'm sorry for this, but maybe you'll learn something from it as well. My family on my dad's side, I look at every single one of them, and every single one of them is filled with stories about how the world screwed them.
Yeah, I got you.
About how, including my father, and I kind of feel weird talking about this a lot, but my dad's got a lot of stories about, how this person screwed them or that person screwed them. This person held them back. They didn't get ahead because of this person. It was, and all of his brothers, all of his sisters, they all had that same mentality. And, and I look back now and I realize that my family on my dad's side was just one big pity party.
Yeah.
They're like victims. And I feel horrible about this because that's my family, right? But I realized that for the most part, everything that they didn't get that they wanted, they did it to themselves.
Self-sabotaged them in a way, right? By kind of like what we were just saying, though, kind of sounds like, right? By thinking that they were too scared to leave that part of them behind. Mm-hmm. It was like where they thought that they were capable of about it, right? Like they were like, as soon as they were almost there, probably there were sometimes when they were almost there. Mm-hmm. And they're like, but oh man, this happened to me in the past and this happened, so I'm not going to get it, and then all of a sudden it's like they're back down again. You got to keep that momentum going, and it's hard. Yeah. But that's like what you were just saying, Nate. Because what you created after all that, one of the biggest things was the discipline. Yeah. Right? Doing it, like you said, every day when you didn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. Because motivation only goes so far.
True story.
Discipline is like when you're doing it day in and day out, when the days when you don't want to do it, when your body's telling you don't want to do it, when people are asking you to go out and do other things, and you're like, nah, this is what I need to do. Yeah. Not only for just for your happiness and to keep you going forward, because it's done so much more for you since then. Mm-hmm. You started your Good Man Initiative channel after you decided to get healthy. Yeah. Which is just killing it. Yeah, you got healthy. Now you have these different routes where this is going to take off in the future. And it's creating new. None of this would have happened. You'd still be eating spaghetti in your chair.
You're absolutely right. Or dead.
Yeah, or dead.
Right, or dead.
Yeah, because it happens all of a sudden, man. Yeah. You got to get healthy, man. And the older you get, the harder it is to get healthy. Yeah. Too, and the bigger you get, the harder it is to get healthy. All your joints hurt. Everything's, I know lots of people that are like super obese and they always complain that all their joints hurt and all my knees hurt and this too. It's like because you're 3 times the size of a normal human. Yeah. All that is on you. If you get, it's only going to get worse. You're sitting there saying that while you're eating a huge bag of gummy bears. Yeah. It's like you need to stop. And like you said, you got to address the root causes. Mm-hmm. Because you're probably doing it for a reason. Like you said, some past hurt in your life, something, right, that you're eating for depression, you're eating for whatever. But exercising is like one surefire way to pretty much, it's better than any kind of antidepressant.
For sure.
It gets you out there, makes you feel good about yourself too, man. Even when I'm like not, I guess I need to start exercising, getting a little paunch on me again now that I'm done hiking because there's too much snow. But like when I'm out hiking, when I'm out hunting, I feel great about that, man. I'm just pouring sweat hiking up and over top of a mountain. I see this big mountain in front of me and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go over it onto the other, check out the next valley. And you go hike up this crazy mountain and you go over, check out the next valley. Man, it makes you feel awesome. Oh, yeah. Like, man, I put in the work and I know that there's like, because that's a pretty intimidating obstacle. You're walking around and you see a literal mountain in front of you. And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna climb that mountain and go over the other side and see what's over there to go get an animal. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like knowing that you can push through that. You can push through a lot of stuff. And it's like just not to get intimidated by it. Yeah. And to be like, yeah, I can do that. Instead of being like, no, there's no way.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's always very easy to tell yourself there's no way. Yeah. You know, oh, I can't do that. I'm not capable.
That's very easy to give up.
You know, totally. Yeah. Especially when you got a history of it. If you got a history of always being hard on yourself and thinking that you can't do it, then you won't do it. You know, you just won't do it. You need to understand that if you're going to, you got to talk positive to yourself and start with the small things. Yeah. You don't have to start if you're 400 pounds. You don't got to start by climbing a mountain. Start by walking to the end of the road and back.
Yeah,
100%. You know what I mean? If you're really big, start by just getting up off the couch a few times. You know, walking around your house a little bit. You don't even have to go outside. If you're embarrassed about being the way you are, go walk up and down the steps in your house. Yeah. You don't need to go outside to do it. You don't need to show off yet, but do it every day. You know, and be like, okay, today I'm going to walk up 5 flights of stairs. And tomorrow you're going to do 6 flights of stairs. The next day you're going to do 7 flights of stairs. By the end of the month, you're up to 30 flights of stairs. You know what I mean? You're killing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and before you know it, you're not even looking like the same person that you were before. And like you said, too, you got to change your daily... You got to forgive everything forgive all the stuff that's happened in your past, and think of yourself as a new version of you. You're not Nate you're not Nate that's on a diet.
Yeah.
You're Nate that wouldn't even think about eating the crap that you were eating before. You know, it's like, that's what you need to do. You literally needed to change who you are. So that's like when people, we were kind of talking about this earlier too, but like how the people, it's like imposter syndrome almost, or whatever it is, but it's like the people who should be rooting for you, they see this guy and they're like, what does this guy know? Even if we're talking about religion. It's like, well, he's not religious, I know him. It's like, you don't know me anymore. You knew me at a time in my life, during a stage in my life when I was doing whatever. You know, you don't know me now, you know, because people do change. And the people who don't change are the ones who are in these ruts, who are never going to get out of it. It's like the people who change, man, or positive change in your life, that's what you need to do, is be like, I'm not the same person anymore. I grew as a person. You know, I've listened to advice, or I've taken on new opportunities and new obstacles and stuff and pushed through them, and now I'm a totally new person. And that's what you need to look at yourself in the mirror every day and be like, yeah, I'm not the person who's going to eat a bag of gummy bears every single day and sit on the couch and do absolutely nothing and watch movies all day. I need to be the guy who's going to be like, nah, I haven't watched a show in 2 months. I'm going to be up and doing stuff until I go to bed. You know, that's, if you want to improve, that's what you need to do. You can't fall back in the same ruts. You can't do it for 2 weeks at a time. You can't do it for a month at a time. It's discipline like for your whole life. Yeah. Like you're changing your whole being. And I think that's what scares a lot of people, right? They're like, yeah, no, I'm going to get in shape so I can not do anything. Yeah. You know, it's like, I'm going to lose all this weight so I can not do anything. So I can just like relax again. It's like, no, you need to keep it up forever.
Yeah,
it's not a thing about you're just going to lose weight and go on a diet and you're just going to lose the weight. No, you're never eating that bag of gummy bears again sitting on your couch. That's part of you is done. Never again is that going to happen. And that's what people are scared of. They're scared of losing the comfortability of it, the whole thing, right? It's like they're used to going and sitting on the couch and doing nothing and eating church. Sure, they feel like shit about themselves, but that's what they're used to. Yeah. You know, they don't understand that there's a whole nother level of existence out there for them where they could be happy, skinnier, healthier versions of themselves where they're not worrying about their joints aching, their knees hurting, their backs hurting. You know, the doctor telling them like, hey, because that was what it took for you, Nate. A shock from the doctor, basically like, hey, you're not healthy. Yeah. You're going to die. You know?
For sure.
You know how many people I know that have been told that and have not changed? It's crazy. Crazy to me. You tell somebody that, like a doctor telling you like, hey, actually when I quit smoking cigs, I used to get tonsillitis all the time. I had it really bad one time when I was younger. I was choking on my own spit. Like, I went to go swallow. It was so bad. I fell out of the shower, tore the shower curtain off, fell on the ground, like almost was like dying from choking on my own spit. I remember like I was like 20. I just graduated. I was living in Edmonton. And I remember calling my dad, like crying because I couldn't even breathe. And he's like, call the ambulance. And I was like, I couldn't even really talk, but I was like, I had no money to pay for it, right? I ended up calling a guy from work. They brought me to the Medi Center. I couldn't even swallow the pills. They gave me these huge horse pills to take, and they're like, go home. And I was like, I literally can't swallow my own spit. Like, I can't take these. My dad drove down from Fox Creek, came and picked me up, brought me back to the hospital in Fox Creek. They put me on IVs for a week in the hospital. They said it was the worst case tonsillitis ever, right? And they're like, this is 100% directly related to you smoking. Yeah. Like, if you don't quit smoking, this is going to keep happening over and over. I literally quit smoking then. Like, that was it. I quit smoking. I've never got it again. Never had tonsillitis again. And I was getting it like 2-3 times a year. Terribly. Yeah, so it was like, that's all it took for me too, was a shock from the doctor being like, hey man, like, do you want to deal with this forever? Because this is what you're going to be doing, you know, it's going to kill you in the end by doing this. Your lungs are not, they can't handle it. Yeah, and I quit doing it. Yeah, I've never had to deal with it again. But I think about that often too. I'm like, sometimes I wish that I could get that kickstart almost from somebody, like, you know what I mean? Like, every time you start tailing off or start not doing shit again, like, hey man, you're slacking. Yeah. You know, you need to fucking pick it up again from a doc telling you, like, because I don't know why doctors just carry more weight. It's like they know what they're talking about. Yeah. So like they tell you something, like you can take it for real, take it to the bank. You're like, hey man, you are not healthy. This is going to be a lifelong thing that you're going to have to deal with. If you don't fix yourself, you know, you're in real trouble. You're like, oh shit, I need to change. Doctor said so. Yeah. This isn't just a guy telling me. This guy knows his stuff. So it's like makes you change. But I know lots of people that believe in that. Even hearing it from the doc, out of their own mouths, you need to change your lifestyle. Don't go home and be like, he's such a fat phobic. You know? Like the doctor like says that I'm fat. He's so rude. Yeah. It's like, he was telling you the truth. Yeah. You know? He was not trying to be rude. He's actually trying to save your life by getting you to see what's clear to everybody else that they just don't want to tell you because they don't want to break your poor little heart. But yeah, you're way overweight and you need to be more healthy. Yeah. You know? And if a doctor tells you that, you could pretty much take it to the bank that you're overweight. He doesn't care about you he doesn't want to see you as a specimen, like he's not looking at you like that. He's looking at you like his patient who's like, hey, what's wrong with this person? Well, they're 400 pounds. Okay, let's start with that. You know, why do your knees hurt? Well, you're 400 pounds. Yeah, your poor little skeleton underneath isn't meant to take that much weight. No. That's why your joints are hurting. You know, you want to make your knees hurt? I'm not going to give you more pills. Lose some weight. That's number one, you know. So it seems like it's pretty straightforward, but then they'll go home and come up with their own idea in their head about why the doctor just had it out for me, called me fat, and you know he's just rude. It's like,
well, this whole healthy at any size movement. Have you heard of that?
Oh, dude.
Like this whole idea that you can be any size and be healthy.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's unbelievable. I don't know. I recently watched a documentary about all of these healthy at any size YouTubers that the amount of them that have died in the last couple of years.
I watched a little clip about that too. Yeah, I'm sure it was the same group of people, but yeah, it was people that were saying that it was okay that they were fat, right? Yeah. And there was like, it was like a fat shaming thing, or like, I can't remember what the thing was. It might have been something. It might have been like you were just talking about. But yeah, there was like 5 or 6 of them, right, that had like thousands of followers who always talk about being fat and they think that they're sexy and big and sexy and stuff. And it's like, they died.
Yeah, they died.
You know, and they had people telling them like, you know, you think you're overweight, and then they try to clown them like, oh, you don't know, I'm so sexy. Like, you're the size of 4 people. Yes. Like, you're not sexy. I'm sorry. In your head, there might be one human being out there that's into that, but the majority of the human beings, are all thinking the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You're really overweight. I'm sure you're a great person, but you're super overweight. And I even have a hard time. This is how bad I am. If somebody's really overweight, I have a hard time taking them seriously.
100%.
You know? Because it's like, you can't control anything else in your life. Like, you can't even control what you're putting in that hole in your face. So if you weigh 400 pounds, you know, and you're going to try to tell me how to live my life, I'm like, I don't know if I can take what you're saying seriously, because you're not even, you're not serious. Like, look at who our health minister is.
I know. You
know? It's a disgusting mess.
Yeah.
And she's telling us what's healthy. It's like, what? You know, we have people like that all the time. How do they get in these positions? They're the ones determining what's healthy. They don't know what's healthy. They're sitting at home eating 6 bags of sour soothers, and you know, I don't know, man.
Well, it's like we've got this whole like we were talking about before with the scientists, where the scientists are trying to keep things the same. It seems like a lot of health professionals are trying to make us all believe in woke medicine.
Yeah.
You know, just
woke medicine.
This idea that, you know, it's okay to be this size, you know.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's just not.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. No, our bodies are meant to function a certain way. Yeah. Back in the day, people weren't fat guys. It was very rare to see a fat person back in like the 20s, 1930s and 40s.
Yeah.
There wasn't fat people that were going to war. You know, it wasn't the thing like you needed to lose a bunch of weight. Everybody was in shape, and we didn't have as much food too, so that helped. There wasn't McDonald's on every corner. Yeah. You know, there wasn't freaking fatty nuggets at every gas station you went to and everything, right, too. So it's like, it's hard and costly to eat healthy. So that's something, like, I understand that part of it. It's very costly to eat healthy, man. You can go buy a bottle of Pepsi for $2.50 or a bottle of water for $4. It's crazy.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no problem. Like, just eat healthy, just that alone, the water towards pop. It's like, how is that more expensive? There's water in Pepsi. Yeah. It has to be.
You look at like cheap burgers, like a $2.50 hamburger from McDonald's or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? A lot of people look at that and go, well, that's a meal.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and it's difficult these days with the cost of.
Yeah, it's hard. I understand it, and that's what I think. Like in the end, like I don't know if it's an actual talked about conspiracy, but it's like I think that's they don't want healthy people either. No. You know, it's like they definitely for the pharmaceutical industries for every. I think that they're all kind of in cahoots a little bit because they're all making money and they all want to keep it going. You know, because it's like the doctors are making money because everybody's overweight. So they got to go prescribe all these medicines and all these things all the time, you know. And then the restaurants are all making money off their crazy baconators and everything else stacked full of every crap that you could fit into something, you know. It's like nobody wants to change that. They all want the land of excess, and that's what we are, right? Yeah. It's like, but the healthy places that you go to, you want to go to eat at a restaurant that has like organic or something, you're going to be paying twice as much. It's ridiculous. So even like those places, it's like they're kind of screwed too because they're the ones, they got to buy the food that even just buying the produce. You know, you're going to go buy a bunch of stuff. You're spending way more money if you're going to buy healthy food. So it's hard, man. It's why you're much better off to learn how to cook at home, cook all your recipes and make healthy stuff at home. And if at all possible, if you're in an area to do it, like get it from, or if you can grow your own garden, like grow your own food and do it that way. That's why like me and Nate, like we both want to have a homestead in the end here again and like live off the land because that's the healthiest way to do it. And it also gives you a sense of fulfillment.
Oh, that reminds me. Patricia wants to talk to you. She wants to talk to you about maybe getting together and doing rabbits.
Oh, rabbits. Yeah, dude. I'd be down with that.
Yeah. So she gave me the statistic. I don't remember off the top of my head, but the amount of pounds of meat you can get from a breeding pair of rabbits in a year is unbelievable.
Oh, I'm sure, because they can breed like 3 times a year or something like that. Yeah, crazy. I was actually going to go snaring rabbits this year for the first time.
Nice.
Yeah, because I haven't done it before. I know my buddy used to do it all the time back in Fox.
You ever seen a rabbit get skinned?
Yeah, dude, it comes off like a sock.
It's crazy.
Comes off like a sock.
It's wild.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I watched old Les Stroud do it, and you could actually like literally wear it like a sock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And it's like waterproof, super warm. Yeah, pretty crazy. And they're pretty huge around here, man. I've seen some big ass rabbits around here, so I'm pretty excited to go out and do some snaring this year.
Yeah.
And get some of that. But it's like that's again, like getting your own meat is huge.
Yes.
If you can grow your own produce, it's huge. If you can go to some Hutterites or to some like Amish people wherever you live who grow their own food, get it from them. They don't even use like a lot of pesticides and stuff, right? So you're getting like super clean stuff, and you could actually get it at a super discount from them too.
It's pretty reasonable if you do get a chance to buy from them. It's super reasonable.
Or if you even have like, what would be a good thing to do too? Like I got a friend who he just got chickens recently. He's actually been they have a homestead. He doesn't like birds. His lady's like he's always had a hate on for birds. He's like I don't like them, Donnie. I don't like birds. But finally, somebody, I think his wife helped him talk. I've talked to him about it a bunch of times, but I think that they just decided finally that they were going to get chickens. And he's like, man, they've already almost paid for themselves.
Yeah.
And he's like, because they had to build a coop and everything, right? But he's like, now he's selling these eggs at work. He just brings them in, selling dozens of eggs to people at work and stuff. And he's like making his money back on it already, right?
Yeah.
If you could find a little in like that too, somebody who cooks their own, who does their own eggs, you can maybe trade him some produce or whatever. You know, you guys work in tandem.
Yeah.
That'll save you some money that way too. And you know, you're getting healthy stuff. Because the stuff we're buying, even at the stores, like it's not healthy at all, man. It's terrible. Even like the majority of the stuff we think is healthy isn't healthy. Right down to the eggs and everything else too. I was watching a thing like, because you could tell the health by like how hard an eggshell is.
Yeah.
And like farm bought eggs, the shells are way harder. They're way thicker too. They're totally different. And then like you get one of these eggs like that we buy from the store, it's like super soft, skinny shells. It's like, because the chickens, unfortunately, most of the eggs we get, these poor chickens are just shitting out eggs left, right, and center. They don't even ever get to spread their wings in a cage. Like they're in a cage their whole lives, a lot of them, and they're just pumping out eggs. You know, it's like that's their whole life. You know, or they're in, or these chicken farms where you go buy your chicken from the store where you're getting your wings and your chicken breasts from. These chickens are living these crazy lives in these huge, like basically big long Quonset huts, just thousands and thousands of chickens side by side, right? Just getting beat up by people walking through there and stuff who hate chickens. It's like there's some awful stuff going on in these places, man. It's not like they're just some chickens that are walking around on the farm having a good time, saying hello to Mr. Rooster. How you doing, bud? Strolling around. Nah, they got a pretty crappy life. So it's like if you could have a farm and have some of your own animals or know some people that do, you're going to be eating a lot healthier produce and a lot healthier meats too, because our meats are so full of antibiotics and oh man, so much stuff. It's just nasty if once you actually start thinking about what's in them. Like
I ate some there's this ranch up by Invermere where I used to live. And they did organically fed, no antibiotics, cows.
Oh yeah.
So and you go and buy the whole cow.
Yeah.
Right. You wouldn't just, you didn't get steaks or whatever. You bought the whole thing, or you split with somebody and you butchered it. And but this was like a place that really, really did it. A lot of times when you hear these things, they're finding ways to make it true, but it's not necessarily true.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I had a friend of mine got a cow from them and gave me some meat from it, and it's different.
Yeah, totally different than the stuff you're buying from the store.
Yeah, it was like butter.
Yeah.
It was just I don't even know how to explain it. It was like you could almost just
so juicy.
Yeah.
It was, and just tasty. Yeah, amazing, right?
Yeah.
And that's just like when you get an elk out in the bush, man. Shooting an elk. I remember the first time I had elk too, I was expecting some kind of a gamey flavor out of it. It is the most amazing meat. It's like tastes like the best beef that you could ever possibly imagine. It's like there's no wild game flavor to it. And it's just so freaking juicy and amazingly tender and like, oh man, elk is top notch in my book, man. And it's so good for you too. Yeah, and you don't got to worry about all the crap people are putting in. Isn't it shocking the amount of stuff that we let get put into our food by these people that are telling us, who have no right, like they have invested interest in why they're putting all this crap in our food. But it's like there's supposed to be an FDA out there keeping all this stuff, you know, safe, and there's like so many pesticides and antibiotics and frickin' steroids and everything else in all this meat that we're eating. It makes no sense to me at whatever. Like there's fluoride in our water, and they still talk about it being like for teeth, like it's supposed to be helping your teeth. Yeah. That's completely ridiculous. Like that's maybe fluoride, that might be a side effect of it, that it helps your teeth, but it also makes you docile. In rats, it makes them like they were doing these tests on mice using fluoride, and after like 3 or 4 generations of the mice, they were all sterile. Isn't that shocking? That's wild. And then you hear about nowadays too how many people can't have kids. Oh, it makes me wonder if there's a correlation there, right? Because we're all drinking this water that all has fluoride in it.
Between that and the food, I mean, look at testosterone levels in men, how much they've decreased within the last 60 years. It's into something like 50 to 60% or something.
I know, it's crazy, man.
It's insane.
Yeah, because they don't want us to be the barbarians at the gates anymore, right? They just want us to be just a number, walking into work every day, in the end, and you're just working for the almighty buck, man, not thinking about anything else. Like I said in the last one, guys, we live in a miracle. Like, we are on a rock, spinning through space, around the sun, in a galaxy that's spinning around other galaxies, spinning around in a universe that's most likely spinning around other universes that has different dimensions. And we're sitting here worried about all this measly crap all the time. Like, come on. There's some really interesting stuff out there. And we can't let the government and the news tell us what is important, because there is a lot of cool stuff we could be learning about. And spiritually, too. Spiritually is like, I think that's where you get a lot of fulfillment from. Understanding that there is something else after this. You know? It's something bigger than us out there. This isn't just about us, the selfish thought of me, me, me. Yeah. It's like when you start thinking about the big picture, man, it really like opens your mind. Like, holy man, there's a lot going on out there. And we're not even allowed to look at it and investigate it, because we all got to worry about the almighty buck every day going in and dealing with that, because that's all they want is just another... We're just a number, Nate.
Oh, yeah.
We're just a number. And they don't want anybody with too much time on their hands to do too much investigating. Bastards.
True story.
Yeah, the bastards.
Going back to food there, I mean, that's something I want to touch on. We're talking about how bad like the what's being fed to us is. Have I ever told you about pink slime?
Oh yeah, like the hamburger.
Yeah. So this is a process. It's actually illegal here in Canada, thank God. But in America, it's used quite often. They actually take the parts of the cow that surround the stomach that are packed with E. coli. They're no good for human consumption. Dogs and cats can eat E. coli without any bad effects, so they generally make that into dog food, right? But they wanted to come up with some way that they could possibly make this edible for human beings. So what they came up with was they grind it up and they run ammonia through it because it kills E. coli. Now, the FDA has approved this in America. They don't count the ammonia as an ingredient. They count it as a process. It's a cleaning process. So they don't have to list ammonia as an ingredient. But this is what you're eating when you go to a lot of fast food places in America, is just hamburger mixed with ammonia.
Yeah, that's disgusting, man. That's amazing. Like, the FDA is putting that through.
Yeah.
Just to corrupt business, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. I know, and there's so many things like that we don't even probably know, right? That's just one of the things that we know.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine how much shit is out there that we don't know that they're doing, man. And the FDA is just passing that along, right? Like, oh yeah, no, it's all good.
Well, the food pyramid from the 50s.
Well, I was watching that. I think you shared that the other day. Maybe I just seen it somewhere. But yeah, JP was talking about that, right? How like the amount of carbohydrates and stuff that we're supposed to have that they said is like four or five servings a day or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's some crazy amount.
Yeah, it's like, no, man, no, you're not. Like, not at all. Like, they made everybody extremely obese and fat and depressed.
Yeah. So they could sell more grain.
That's right.
That's why they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, and there's that kind of shit going on all the time in every kind of industry, you know.
Yeah.
I mean? Pushing it, and there's supposed to be these organizations like the FDA keeping it from that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, are they all just paid off, or what's the deal? You know, like,
you gotta wonder, right?
You know, like, where are they getting their money from? The people who okayed the ammonia, they got stocks in ammonia, or like, what's the deal? Like, right? Why would they even let that go?
I watched another documentary on school lunch programs in America, and how they went from providing really, really healthy lunches to now they're actually sponsored by like Coke and Pepsi.
Yeah. Or,
you know, fast food companies come in and sponsor lunches in schools, and they get money from the government for it. We're starting, we're letting our kids start a race with 100 pounds tied to their ankles.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Man.
We're not giving them what they need to get through their life.
No, that's right, man. Yeah, we're in every way, mentally and physically, man. Because we're not giving them, we're making them weak in the mind.
Yeah.
By pushing all this other trans shit and trans crap and being offended and not being able to offend anybody, all that crap. And then in the food market too, like, you know, we're making it just eat junk all day long, and that's supposed to be okay.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be obese. They're all going to be terribly fat or terribly like sick when they get older. And then they're just going to be profiting the old pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that is like what it comes down to in the end. So with mind and fit and physical.
It's kind of, so if you look at it, and you think to yourself, okay, let's take out the idea that anybody's trying to do this, right?
Yeah.
Let's take out the idea that anybody's trying to control us or keep us down or make us weak. The empirical facts are that it's happening.
Yeah.
Our testosterone levels are down.
Yeah.
We're overweight. We're offended at everything. The fact of the matter is that if nobody's making us do this, then we're still allowing it to happen.
Yeah, we're allowing it to happen to ourselves without sticking up for it, you know?
So why don't we not do it?
That's right.
Let's just not do it.
Yeah, let's just stand up and be like, nah, guys, that's not okay to do that anymore. How about that? You know, we're not okay with that. Just the same, I was always thinking that too with the amount that we get taxed. Mm-hmm. Like, what if one day we were all just like, that is enough.
Yeah.
You're not going to be taxing us that much anymore, you know? We've had enough. And nobody wants to pay it or whatever, you know, like we make a stand. Like this is the amount that we're doing. 50% is too much.
Yeah.
You know, it's unreasonable for you to tax us that much. And if people ever just stood up, we're like, no, we're not going to pay it. Are they going to arrest every person in the country? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If enough people make a stand, so that's when change actually happens.
Yes.
And that's what needs to happen too. But
we definitely need to stand up against taxation.
Yeah, we do. Taxation and just in general, all this crap with the FDA, all this stuff. We need to be. And it comes back to, I think, in the end, kind of social media, because we're just so distracted. Mm-hmm. People don't care about it. Yeah. They're like, yeah, there is ammonia in the slime, but did you see McDavid's triple deke? You know, it always goes back to being nobody really cares too much because they got other stuff that they're thinking about. You know, and it's like sports are a big one. Like I love sports and everything, but to me, it's like I see sports more so as a distraction. Yeah. That they're okay. That's what the gladiators did back in the day, right? In the Roman days, man. They'd have these big games and stuff, get people all excited, and then while that's all going on, they'd be passing all kinds of crazy laws and other stuff that they didn't want anybody to see or be a part of, and everybody's too distracted watching the games to pay attention to it. Yeah. And that's exactly what's going on a global scale here with all the sports we have and stuff. It just keeps everybody so distracted. And I love sports too. I'm a big sports guy, but it's like it's hard for me to watch it nowadays and get too invested in it because I feel like it's all just a distraction. Mm-hmm. And that every time there's something like that going on, when there's something big going on over here, they're doing something over here. Yeah. Like, you know.
It's actually funny that you bring that up because I forget who, it might have been Vader's Killian that said this too, but he had talked about sports teams. He said if you are not absolutely successful in your life and financially set up and you have the happiest life in the world and everything is just absolutely perfect for you, if you're not like that and you're sitting at home watching sports and rooting for a team, first off, that's not your team.
Exactly.
Right? They're not doing anything for you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
If you're not in that situation where things are absolutely perfect for you and you're sitting down watching sports, you should be getting up and making something. Mm-hmm. Like, people talk about, it's the funniest thing, people talk about how I don't have time to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to go out hunting. I don't have time to grow a garden. I don't have time to learn something new. Stop watching Netflix.
Exactly.
Right?
Check your screen time on your phone.
Yeah.
You know?
You'd be surprised how much time you have.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. I think that people will be shocked. I don't think that people are probably scared to look at their screen time on their phone. I can confidently say that my screen time is super minimal on my phone. Like, I'm never really watching anything, so it's okay. But there was times when I was depressed or smoking the cabbage and stuff where I would just sit at home and just be scrolling on that. Nowadays, if I go scroll through, I found this out the other day when I was like scrolling through. I probably did it for 10 or 15. I was watching some shorts on YouTube, and I scrolled through probably 10 or 15 shorts in a row, which is like a lot for me nowadays. Mm-hmm. I was feeling like shit almost immediately from scrolling through it. There was only a couple of videos that were like, you know, it was a couple of ones that just made me sad right off the bat. It was just like, and mad. It was like some government ones, some other shit. And I just realized like it was already, after that 15 swipes, I was like feeling depressed. And I was like, I'm shutting this shit off, man. Like immediately. Yeah. I like watching stuff where I'm going to learn. So I like watching, I'll watch full, if I'm going to watch something. Like I think that the shorts are the worst. Yeah. I think that those are horrible. Like TikTok and shit is terrible for you, I feel like. If I'm going to watch something, I'll watch stuff that I'm going to learn on. Like I'll watch in the background usually while I'm doing something else. That's the only time I watch. Like I have a problem since I'm not on the cabbage. I can't sit down. Like this is the longest I sit down for in a day when I'm sitting here with Nafy. Normally I'm like up. At the very least, I'm doing folding laundry or I'm doing something, doing dishes. But I'll have on in the background. Like I like watching stuff like with documentaries is my big thing. I watch tons of documentaries, or I'm listening to them at the very least as I'm doing stuff. So it's like I'm learning as I'm doing it and stuff that I find interesting. I'm not just watching garbage where people are just like doing dumb shit all day. And especially it's like stuff where I don't like seeing bad things happen to people anymore. Like I'm just over that kind of stuff. And real stuff like that, I don't like seeing that. If they're like, oh, look at this look at this chick gonna catch her, setting up her husband to catch him cheating or whatever, right? It's like, or whatever the stupid videos are. And it's like, I don't want to watch that. Like, I don't need to see that crap. Or seeing kids get hurt or people get hurt in car crashes or something. And they're showing like the accident scenes. And oh, man, I don't want to be seeing that stuff, man. I got other stuff to think about. That starts crossing your mind all day. That's all you think about. And I don't like that stuff, man. I like watching, or I'll watch like hunting videos where I'm watching like a full, like the meat eater style with Steve Ranella, because he'll actually go out and do the full, goes out, shoots an animal, then they do the butchering process, and he always cuts up some meat and they cook something at the, whatever they're eating, whatever they're shooting and stuff, right? So it's like you kind of get, and then they'll tell you like how it tastes. One episode they did a coyote.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's like I wanted to try a coyote. He's like Remy Moore, and this guy's like, they taste like shit. Just so you know, he's had them before, right? They had one, they cooked one up, and they verified, it didn't taste too good. It didn't taste good at all. But like I like shows like that, and like I don't, like I said, like I don't sit and watch them anymore. Like I remember back in the day, and there was lots of times when I was smoking the cabbage, where I'd be doing marathons, right? Watching marathons of videos. But nowadays, man, I don't watch TV barely even, man. It's like, it's very rare. If I am, like I said, I'm listening almost to a documentary or something like that. Because you can just waste so much time.
Oh, for sure.
There's so many shows out there. Not that they're bad shows. There's great shows, I'm sure. You know? But it's like Nate just said, it's like, that's just, if your life ain't set up, you're just wasting more time. And that's time that we never get back, guys. So once that time's gone, you're never able to get it back. They're wasting so much for what? You know? To watch our teams?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Watch our teams?
That's not getting you anywhere.
No. We got a lot of guys like that at work that are like so hardcore about hockey, right?
Yeah.
And I always like that. I talk about this. I got a little comedy bit that I'm going to do one time about it, but I do think it's hilarious when people like come in, like, and this isn't just this work here. It's been everywhere that I've ever almost worked. Like you come in and they're like, so how'd you guys do last night? Oh man, we had a tough night. You know, McDavid, you know, he got a couple goals on us there. Our defense just wasn't there. It's like they're talking like they're in the dressing room, you know, we got to make some changes, you know, it happens every time. You know, coach wasn't tough enough in the dressing room. It's like, you weren't there. You weren't playing on the team. Like, it's not you guys or your team.
Like, how did you guys?
Yeah, exactly. You know, like they're in there throwing their skates on and playing defense too. It's like, no, guys, you're just watching this shit go on. You're not part of the team. How'd you guys do? Oh, she's been a tough night for us. Tough season. You know, we're 12 games in. You know, it's like just going into great depth about it. I just laugh all the time. Like, I love sports, but I do think it's hilarious how everybody always includes themselves as part of the team. I've never been like that into them to say that when I'm in there, but I've known so many people that do. Oh yeah. You know, you talk to them about Oilers and they always say we.
Guys who like fantasy football or fantasy hockey leagues and stuff, they're actually picking people and like playing games with how many points and assists and like, what the hell?
I know, dude. Yeah, they're just so invested in it, eh? It's like, it just takes over their whole mind. And like, I guess they're interested, but it's also just a distraction. Yeah. You know, it's like there's so many other things that people could be learning and doing, and that's like, in the end, it has no. If shit hits the fan, it don't matter how many goals McDavid got in your fantasy league. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And the other thing that turned me off of hockey, we might not be able to post this part, Nate, but they do a lot of girl stuff in the locker rooms in hockey. Yeah. Like, I grew up where I thankfully I never got high enough up where I had to see a bunch of the gross shit. But it's like, seems like once you go to junior A or AAA or you're in the WHL, you're pretty much doing a bunch of gay, terrible shit to your to your fellow players and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a guy who played in the WHL. I'm not even going to say his name, but he used to live in Fox. And one time, he had a guy up there that they were playing that was from like the OHL too or something, and they were telling us the stories that they would do in the dressing room to make to new guys and shit, right? Like they'd all bang a loaf of bread and make the new guys eat the bread.
What the
Dude, you don't have to put this in there, Nick, but I swear to God. Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? You're like, that's gross. Like, we're fucking team building, bro. You want to be part of the team?
That's,
yeah, it's fucked up.
That's messed up.
Dude.
That's messed up.
That ain't even, that's half of the shit, Nate.
No.
Yeah, I've heard of so much shit like that. Like, I hate to tell you guys. McDavid's banged some loaves of bread this day, boys. Like, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, that's just hockey.
I can't fathom in my head how somebody's going to look at that and think of it as a team building experience.
Dude, they looked at me with a straight face when I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, fucking gotta be part of the team, bro.
It seems like...
What do you mean?
Seems like some Van Wilder shit.
Yeah, dude, you're fucking new. P.S. Keep in mind, this was while we were playing on the golf course.
Yeah.
We got to number 7 on the golf course. This individual shoved a golf ball in his ass, teed up, played the entire hole. We get to the green.
Did not.
Fucking pops her back out and putts her in.
Oh, man.
Like, part of the team, bro.
That is a mentally developed individual.
Man, but it's like that kind of shit happens in the crazy. That's like literally one of dozens of stories like that I could tell you that they've told me that they would do to new people, right?
Editing that little segment is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to leave in as much as I can.
Oh, man. It's horrible. That's one thing about hockey. People don't like talking about it, man. The stuff in the dressing room is nasty. And it ain't team building, man. It's like hazing in college to a whole nother level, right? And it's like, so when I look at the guys playing in the NHL and shit, I'm like, how many loaves of bread? That's all I'm thinking of nowadays.
Now let's be brutally honest here. I just want to mention this. There are going to be people out there, especially people who are not following our same political beliefs and how we look at the world, who are going to look at that and go, "Well, that's toxic masculinity. That's not masculinity at all.
Nah,
that's being a douchebag."
Yeah, that's being a straight up douchebag, man. And like finding any way, because like chicks, I'm sure do terrible things too, but not they don't do that. You know, I'm sure they have some other stuff that they do, but this is just finding anything gross thing. Like guys do it, but hockey I found is the worst.
Yeah.
Like out of all the things all the sports that I've heard about, hockey has the worst like antics like that or hazing stuff like that in the dressing rooms. Yeah, and it's like people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's one thing that really turned me off hockey. After I played that round of golf, I never looked at hockey the same way again, man. I was like, oh my God, dude.
That is rough.
Yeah, and I heard guys doing similar stuff in like junior A and stuff too, man. Same thing, you know, they're not even going to be pros. But it was always stuff like that, which is disgusting. Full disgusting.
Yeah.
But people just want to turn the other way. Say it's the manliest sport out there. It's pretty gay. Oh, man.
We just pissed off 70%.
Dude, I love hockey too. That's the problem. It was a crushing blow to me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what are you talking about, man? Like, and they looked at me like I was crazy for saying that. It was completely crazy. They're like, look at team building, bro. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You gotta be part of the team.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, I don't know. There's kind of stuff going on like that.
I would point out something here that if your child plays hockey and I would maybe be involved.
Yeah.
In discovering what kind of situation they're in. You know, I would if I was to find out that my child was involved in something like that, I'd be pretty pissed.
Oh yeah.
Like to the point where some heads would be rolling.
Oh, I would agree, man.
Right.
I would agree. Look what they just happened recently in the Olympics, right? When all those people got charged with rape and shit down in like it was a couple of years back or whatever, the World Juniors or whatever it was, they were all Canadian, like a whole bunch of people off the team got charged with like rape for some, and it's like, I wasn't thinking, no, these guys didn't do it. I'll tell you that after learning those stories and stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's a weird culture in hockey, man.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, it's very, I don't even know what the word for it is because it's not like toxic masculinity, but it's like.
In fact, you know, I'd go on past that and I'd say masculinity
is the opposite of that.
Is the opposite of that. And masculinity would, like, if I found out that something was happening, like if there was a hockey league here and I found out something like that was happening, I'd like, that shit should be shut down.
Yeah.
There's some, you're messing some people up there.
Dude, totally, man.
Right? And masculinity, I've always been a strong believer that masculinity is about protecting people and standing up for your fellow man. And I would feel that true masculinity would be the guy who stood up and said, no, this is some bullshit.
Yeah.
And this is going to fucking stop right now.
That's right, man.
Right?
Maybe it doesn't happen anymore. Who knows? I really highly doubt it. You know, I'm sure there's still lots of that going on. But that was in like, that would have been in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Right? But still, I'm sure there's still stuff like that going on, man. It would not surprise me one bit.
It wouldn't surprise me. People have the ability to show an immorality that is just, especially in group situations.
In group situations,
people can do some crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
you push people to do a lot of crazy stuff. That's like how a lot of stuff happens in college and in the fraternities and stuff, right? There's a lot of crazy stuff like that in there too. I guarantee you that.
Oh, for sure.
I guarantee you that's not out of the ordinary for fraternities. They'd be doing shit like that too. But
and the sad thing is people do stuff like that because they want to be accepted.
Yeah, they want to fit in.
They want to fit in.
That's exactly what part of the team.
Yeah.
Got to be part of the team. I did it. You got to do it. You know.
Yeah.
It's like, just because you're an idiot and did it doesn't mean I'm going to do it.
And that is toxic. Imagine if you walked into work tomorrow.
Oh my God.
5 of your managers were there with a loaf of bread, banging it. And they're like, you got to eat this afterwards.
Part of the team, bro.
Part of the team, bro. Like,
yeah, dude.
Maybe I'd step away from that position.
Yeah, I think that I'd probably be like, no, that's okay. I'm gonna go do something different.
Yeah.
No. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It's insane that we would, but you know, especially kids. Kids will let a lot of things go if they think it's about fitting in. I mean,
that's right.
You look through the last 20, 30 years and news stories about people kids who have involved themselves in rapes, murders, because they just wanted to fit in.
The swarming's even going on. Where they're just going, there's 20 kids are going around attacking random people and stuff, right? It's like, what? Just to feel like you're part of the team?
Yeah.
They're going to go around and attack a random person and like possibly kill somebody, just to be part of this group. I didn't feel like when we were growing up that there was that much, I never felt like I needed to do anything like that to fit in. So that was like, but I didn't play in the dub either, so I don't know. But I can safely say that I would not have been doing that. You know what I mean? Like my morality, even at that age, was like, no. And these were all people that like I know. Like I played hockey till I was 16, and that didn't happen in any of those leagues.
Yeah.
You know, all the people that I've heard the stories from were all 18 and over. Mm-hmm. So this is already people that were men. You know, who were like should have known better too. You know, but like you said, they get in a group situation where they're new to a team, and there's people that have been on the team already for 2 or 3 years, and they're like, no, bro, this is what we do here.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to play on the team, and the guy's been waiting his whole life to play on the team. Look at Thurin Fleury. Mm. Thurin Fleury is a prime example. Thurin Fleury, the poor guy, got raped his whole life when he was in one of the best hockey players around, and he openly talks about it. Right, people hate him for it.
And
but it's like different coaches, not even this one person. It was like,
what a beauty guy he turned out to be.
Yeah. Oh man, what a great guy!
Fleury, like I said, I know some of his stuff from outside of hockey. His social media stuff, and the man is just amazing.
Yeah, he's a beauty, man.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel bad for him, too, for having to go through all that, right? And that was like, he talks about Hockey Canada and stuff like that, and some of the things that he talks about, right? But it was like, from what he was talking about, like, people knew that things like that were going on.
Yeah.
And nobody said anything. You know? And
that's one way, I feel like, in some ways, we do better with that now, but in some ways, like we have this really bad idea now that we need to blanket statement everything. right? Everything is, there's no intricacies, there's no shades of gray, and that's where toxic masculinity comes in. It's a blanket statement, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That anything masculine has the ability to be toxic, when in actuality it doesn't. But I feel like now we've taken things like that and made them, like, that's, a lot of people would use that, like I said, as proof of toxic masculinity, when in actuality it's just toxicity and being a predator.
Yeah, totally, man.
Right?
Totally.
And these are things that need to be fought against in our society.
Yeah. And I think that it's not even just a knock. Like, I was just thinking when we were talking about that, seems like it's kind of similar to, like, remember like Harvey Weinstein, hearing about that? Apparently everybody knew that was going on too, right?
Yeah.
But they'd still be trying to get in his movies and stuff, you know, and it's like they all knew what was happening, but nobody was standing up to do anything about it. Yeah. And that's where it becomes a problem, where people feel like they're invincible, right? Because I guarantee you the very first time that people did that, if people would have been like, hey man, this guy just tried to do this in the dressing room, like, what is going on? We're not dealing with this. There would have been an uproar probably, right? And it would have been stopped. But after it happened 20 or 30 times, right? And everybody's like, yeah, we all had to do it. You know, it's like, no, you didn't have to. You chose to because you didn't want to say anything about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that's kind of what happens with all that kind of stuff. They are predators, 100%. And then people just start going along with it, and then they feel bad that they went along with it, so they don't tell about it, right? And that's kind of just creates an environment where that stuff's just gonna happen.
Allowed to happen.
Yeah, and it's like it's not cool. And I think that's. It kind of has to do with being masculine. Is that like we were saying? Like, I think that's the opposite of masculinity. Is that, because a masculine person would stand up and be like, no, this isn't acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a moral person, and I'm not going to be doing this, and I'm not going to let any of you guys do this. I'm going to go talk to whoever it is, the coach, the producers of the movie, whoever it is, and you're going to be like, I'm not going to let this stuff happen.
Yeah.
And instead of just doing what you have to do. And that sounds like what happened with the Diddy parties, as a matter of fact, too.
Right.
It's like, it seems like it's super commonplace, right? Where this kind of stuff goes on. So it's pretty...
Like, how bad did we mess up society?
Yeah.
People were talking about what was going on with him for so long, and nobody did anything.
Yeah, nobody did anything, man. Yeah, I was just watching something the other day where somebody... oh, man, who was it? Was talking about going to a Diddy party. Oh, it was the kid off The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Like the son of James Gandolfini in there. I can't remember his name. But he was like, man, I wanted to get out of there. We were going to a Diddy party afterwards. You know, I wanted to get out of filming. Yeah. And it was like, what, man? It was like, he was just a young kid at that time. He probably in his 20s, right? Yeah. Like, still a pretty young buck. But it was like, man, everybody knew that was going on, and everybody was letting it happen. Mm-hmm. It's very similar. Yeah. Very similar to what we're talking about, right? And nobody was doing anything there either. So...
Like, I'd even say that this is an effect of not having true masculinity. Mm-hmm. Is the fact that you get situations like this.
I would agree.
You know, I think somebody who is masculine is going to stand up and go, no, this is wrong, and I'm putting my foot down. Mm-hmm. This ends here. And when you don't have people who are strong enough in their own beliefs and strong enough in their morals to do that, you get situations where things like this are allowed to happen. You look at Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, the Diddy parties. I mean, people knew about these things.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, lots of people.
People joked around about these things.
Yeah.
You know, people, you look back, I mean, the stuff we're seeing come out about the Diddy parties and what people have said in the past, and, you know, where he's like... in an interview, and he's telling Justin Bieber that he's got to be careful about what he says, what happens with Big Brother Diddy around. Yeah. You know, it's him. Did you see where he walked up to Justin Bieber and he was patting him down to see if he had a wire? No. Yeah, there's a video of that. He walks up, Justin Bieber gives him a hug, steps back, and he starts patting down his chest, and Bieber just kind of lets his arms down like he's okay, go ahead.
Jesus, H.
Yeah, and it's like, how many lives got ruined?
Yeah.
You know, how many people, I mean, thousands of bottles of lubricant.
Yeah, dude.
Of oil and laced with GHBs. So that if you got a massage with them, you'd pass out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't hear that part. Yeah, that's fucking crazy,
like,
man.
Just wild.
Yeah, we live in a strange.
He had to give, he hired sex workers. It's one of the things he's being charged with is sex workers transported over a state line, which is trafficking, right? Sex workers that had to be given intravenous like minerals and vitamins and stuff and sugar afterwards because they'd had so much sex.
Jesus, they're just depleted.
They're depleted.
Holy man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't even been watching as much of that, right? Because I've just been like, our world's completely fucked.
Yeah. And thank God for 50 Cent. He's been telling us for years.
Yeah, man. So was that Cat Williams, too.
Yeah, Cat Williams, and you listen to that interview with Cat Williams, and you look at it and go, this motherfucker's crazy.
Yeah. Turns out he knew what he was talking about.
Right? Yeah. And a lot of times the truth sounds crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of times because
truth is stranger than fiction.
People don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Right? People want to believe that the truth is crazy because then if it's not crazy, they have to do something.
That's right. Yeah, they're going to have to stop listening or, look at that person differently or whatever. Yeah, man, pretty crazy that that was all going on and how many people were just letting it happen.
And if we just build our kids a little stronger and just make our society a little stronger, stuff like that wouldn't happen.
That's right, man. Yeah, it certainly wouldn't have flew back in our grandparents' age.
No.
Grandparents' day, man.
No.
That stuff would not have been happening. Yeah, because they were just built different, man. I think it kind of starts with this might be like a vague or terrible generalization, but it's like people are so worried about offending people that they don't know where to draw the line where it's okay to offend somebody.
Yeah.
No, if somebody's saying to do this and that is completely immoral, it's completely okay to offend that person. Like, I'm not doing that shit.
100%.
I'm not okay with that and I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
We live in a time where they're trying to make everything okay.
Yeah.
Everything is okay now, like with trans stuff. And what were they calling it on the news? They were saying, there was like a word for like pedophile, but they were saying it was like a minor attracted person or something like that. Like it was okay.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it ain't okay, guys. Like, what are we talking about here? We're going to make that okay now? Like, we're living in such a time where it's like, we need to put a stop to this shit now because like it can only it's already really bad. Where are we going to let it go to?
Yeah.
Like, this is completely insane. The world. I just feel like we're living in a simulation. It doesn't feel like this could even be real. Like the stuff that we're seeing on a daily basis come out of the news, it's like, what?
Yeah.
There's no way. Like, oh, it's true? Oh my God, man.
It's wild. Right?
I just want to go move out into the forest and not deal with any of these people because I don't feel like I connect with anybody out there anymore. This is just nuts, man. Mm-hmm. People are okay with this, and even people that are okay being distracted and not thinking about it. Being like, oh, whatever, I don't watch that. I'm not really good at it.
I don't want to hear about it.
Man. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But they're going to go back to watching their other stuff and act like it ain't happening there. Mm. Yeah. It sounds like Hollywood in general is pretty sick, too.
It does. Yeah, it really does. I mean, you look at the stuff that's coming out. Hollywood music. I've been listening to a lot of music lately, and I listen to a lot at the gym, right? So I tend to listen to. Apparently, my Spotify says that I love heavy metal music.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I listen to a certain type of heavy metal music, and I've been getting lots of stuff that's flown past me. Spotify, seeing if I like it. That's like satanic.
Oh yeah.
Right. Lots of just devil worship imagery and stuff like that, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's wild to me that it's so out in the open now. Nobody says anything about it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
because back in the day, they used to say that Gene Simmons was the devil. Remember, like back, there's just so much more now, much worse and open now. And the lyrics even talk about it, right? Mm-hmm. Like talking about the devil and being okay with it, basically.
Yeah. Did you see that girl? What was her name? Something Spice. She's a friend of Taylor Swift's, and she was at the Cincinnati Chiefs games with Taylor Swift, and every time they moved the camera onto her, she gave like devil horn symbols, and she had this pentagram necklace, and she'd do like some satanic hand symbols around it. And it's like it's so out there, and people just accept it.
Yeah, they're just okay with it. They're yeah, you go, girl.
The imagery at the Olympics, right? The death riding his horse.
Yeah, unbelievable, dude.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
The Last Supper done with gay fat people.
Yeah, man. I don't know. They're how all that is because they're making a mockery of religion is what it is, right? And they try to make everything that's immoral completely fine. Like they're trying to like, it's like dehumanizing the whole thing too. Yeah. It's like they're just, it's who cares? Yeah. You know, it's like free is free, man.
Well, the more they can desensitize you to, the more you will accept.
Desensitizing it, exactly. Right? Yeah.
The more you will accept from them, the more desensitized you are.
Yeah.
So, you know, everything. If you got to look at trajectories, right? Like I think people have this really bad idea or this really bad way of looking at things where they go, okay, well, this is where we are, but it won't go any further. Yeah. But you got to look at it like a bullet going through history, right? Mm-hmm. We know where that bullet's going.
Yeah, that's right.
We can see where it's going.
Yeah, and it all happens one tiny little step at a time, almost imperceivably. Yeah, you know, it's like I was actually talking about not any of this crazy talk, but I was talking with that guy that I know here on Facebook the other day, just about how he was asking me about something that I talked about last time. We were talking about guns, about how they were making some guns illegal and stuff. And he's like, well, they're not making all guns illegal. They're just, you know, just some of our assault rifles they were making illegal. And I said to him, like, you know, that term alone is pretty crazy. Yeah. But I was talking to him. I was telling him that you're right. They didn't make every single gun illegal, you know, but they did make a whole bunch of guns illegal, and some bird guns even. You know, that were long barreled with the chokes like we were talking about there before. I was like, those are hunting rifles purely for birds. Now, why would they do that? You know, I was like, they're not going to take away all our guns at one time because there'll be an uprising and people will be upset. But what they will do is slowly take them away over time under the guise of calling them assault rifles. And I was like, what is an assault rifle? And I was like, they're semi-automatic rifles. Is that what you mean? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I guess that must be what they're talking about is the semi-auto rifles, right? He's like, but them not calling it that is how they're able to, because then they don't specify that's what they mean. So eventually an assault rifle is just going to be a shotgun. Yeah. And eventually assault rifle is just going to be a normal rifle. A bolt action rifle. Anything. Yeah, that'll be an assault weapon, right? It's like that's how they do it. They're not saying, no, we need to get anything a semi-auto or anything a certain caliber. They're just calling it assault weapons. And it's like, then they could take them away one small step at a time, and we're just going to be okay with it. And they do it all through fear. By making everybody scared. That's why people are willing to do it. And they do. And I said to him that the easiest way, and this is what happened through COVID, which was shown too, is that if you make people scared enough, they'll demand you take their rights away. Oh yeah. So that for their safety, you know. And it's like that's where it ends up going, when in fact. That's the exact opposite of what should be happening. You know what I mean? They know that if they scare us enough, that we're going to say, you need to take all our guns away. Like there's too many people shooting, you need to make all guns illegal. People who don't own guns will start saying that, right? And all people in cities and the vast majority of the population that live in cities, they're the ones who will be saying this stuff. And the people who actually own guns, who are responsible gun owners, are like, I've never shot anybody. What are you talking about? The people who are actually shooting people don't buy their guns legally. They don't register their guns. It's like it's not going to affect crime in any way. No. And if you go look at the stats, and it's from Stats Canada, the amount of people that have died from guns has not gotten way better since he's made these guns illegal. No. You know, there's more now than there ever has been. So it's like, how is that? Doesn't make any sense to me. But you're going to still keep banning the guns?
Well, the legal guns. Some of you might not know this. Here in Canada, for us to get a gun, we have to take a course. It's called the Possession Acquisition License course, and we have to take that course, and then we get a license that allows us to buy guns. And our criminal records are checked. I think it's once a month. When you have a PAL, your criminal record is checked once a month, and the second that something comes on your criminal record, they come take your guns. If an ex-girlfriend of yours from 6 years ago calls the police and says, I'm worried he's going to shoot me, and she hasn't seen you in 6 years, they'll take your guns. Like, we are some of the most regulated gun owners in the world.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
If you have a restricted license, I believe your criminal record is checked daily.
And you can't, Yeah, now they've basically taken any gun that was restricted. Like handguns used to be restricted, where you'd have to, if you were actually going to use your handgun, you'd have to call the police ahead of time to let them know that where you're taking it to and how long you're going to be gone with it, and take it to the gun range and back is the only place you could go with it. Yeah. Now they've made handguns completely illegal, and a lot of semi-autos completely illegal.
And a locked safe.
Yeah.
You couldn't keep your handgun in a drawer.
No, that's right. No, you definitely can't do that.
It had to go straight from your car to a locked safe.
Yeah. And all your guns have to be kept in a safe here in Canada too. You know, which I'm not opposed to. I do think that safes are good to have. They definitely keep them away from kids and stuff. I think it's a good idea. But I do feel like you should be allowed to defend yourself with your own weapon too, and you're not allowed to in Canada here. If somebody breaks into my house and I shoot them, I'm going to jail. Yeah. Which is a completely insane thing to think about.
Here in Canada, you are expected. If somebody breaks into your house, you're expected to go, "Excuse me, sir, let me just call 911.
Yeah, exactly.
Call the police, tell them where you are, have them send out and dispatch somebody, put the phone back down, and tell the person to please wait for the police to show up."
Yeah, pretty crazy.
That is literally what is expected from us.
Even if you actually like beat the shit out of them physically, you know, if they try to attack you and you beat them up bad enough, they can sue you and you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
You know, there's been tons of cases like that, and it feels like the law-abiding, like the homeowners always lose. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty sad state of affairs, man. I don't understand. The criminals have so many rights here. I remember reading something not that long ago where there was a guy, it wasn't at a house, but it was at a store where he was going to break in. He was trying to break in and he fell through a skylight or something in their roof, and he got hurt, and he sued the store and won.
Yeah.
Because like it was a dangerous roof or whatever. He was trying to break in, and he fell in through a light, through the roof, wherever, hurt himself, sued the store that he was breaking into and won. So it's like, we're just incentivizing criminals.
Yes.
Is all we're doing. And with the catch and relief stuff that our government does too, you know, it's not like he's catching people for jaywalking and letting them walk away. He's catching violent criminals again and again, and then they just go, they're not in jail for hours and they're back out on the streets again. And our police talk about that a lot. So it's like, what are we doing? We're wasting our time with this catch and release crap, because the state where we've caught these violent criminals 10, 15, 20, 30 times, and they're still not in jail. They still get let out all the time, and it's like there's not even don't even have to pay bail anymore. It's like they just catch and release. Yeah. Let them back out.
Yeah, give them. They get caught for whatever they do. They basically take them down. They book them. We'll get you a court date. You can go.
Yeah. But you don't pay your taxes. Look out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be in jail for that. You know what I mean? But yeah, the actual violent crime that people do on a daily basis, carjackings, all that stuff, those people get let out.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and sometimes several times in one day.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? I've heard about that, man.
And then, so they passed a law here in Canada because our jails are so full and we have so many people waiting for court, that if your court case doesn't come up within a certain amount of time, they actually drop charges, and they do this on murder charges.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's so backed up that it probably happens quite a bit.
It happens a lot.
You know, because there's so many cases too, right?
Yeah, we're literally just...
Yeah, there's no punishment for criminals, so there's all the incentive in the world for people to be breaking the law. And it's a pretty sad state of affairs, man. And Pierre talks about that a lot. That's why I hope Pierre gets in, because he wants to be tough on crime and not be letting these guys get back out and having violent reoffenders. There was a person questioning him the other day. I was watching an interview with him, and the tone in their voice for him saying that he doesn't think that they were saying to him that he doesn't want due process.
Yeah.
And he was like, we're talking about people that have been let out like 20, 30 times on violent crimes. Yeah, I think they should be held in jail.
Yeah.
You know?
It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea, you know? I think that they can stay until trial at least, you know? We don't need to be letting them out. If we know this person did something, they caught in the act, and they've been multiple violent crimes, back in the day it was like, you know, you would go to jail, even not that long ago, like 10, 15 years ago. You would be in jail for something, and if you got caught again, it was a longer sentence.
Yeah.
You know? It was like, hey, you didn't learn from the first time. You're going to go back in, we're going to add several years to your sentence this next time. Nowadays, it ain't like that. Nowadays, it's like you're going to go in, you're going to be in a day cell for a few hours, and they're going to let you out. So I don't know how that's scared any criminals into not doing, you know,
Sounds like it's wide open.
Yeah, it sounds like it's pretty much wide open where they can just do whatever they want and it's free reign in the country. You go break into people's houses. You're not going to be able to get hurt. You're not going to be able to hurt anybody who breaks into your house. So if anything, I'm going to hear somebody breaking into my house and I need to be scared that I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost to the point where I feel like somebody's going to break in and I'm going to yell at them and they're going to get offended and I'm going to go to jail. For them, I'm going to be offended that they broke into my house and I'm going to go to jail for it. That's where it's going to be going to here if the old Liberals stay in power.
Was it somewhere here in Canada the police are actually telling people to leave their car keys by their front door?
Oh yeah, I heard that.
So that if they break into their house, they'll hopefully just take their car.
Yeah. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I love that guy in Florida, that sheriff, where he's like, somebody who shot the guy who broke into their house or whatever. He never reported himself. I think he thinks he's going to be in trouble. You can come on in. We actually encourage that here in this county.
Yeah, I saw that. That was awesome.
It saves us all the paperwork. Man, we need that in our country, man.
Yeah.
I am not a soft, bleeding heart where I feel bad for criminals breaking into something. Oh, man, they grew up in this and that and their poor environment. They made terrible decisions is what happened. And now they don't care who they hurt and who they harm to get for their own selfish needs. So, yeah. If they break into my house, I'd like to be able to use whatever force necessary
and you should be able
to make sure my family's safe.
Yeah.
And not be worried that I'm going to hurt this poor fella who broke into my house. Oh man, I should feel bad for him instead of kicking the shit out of him for breaking into my house.
I saw this meme going around a while back. It said so a person's life or your possessions are worth more than a person's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna come break into my house and steal my shit. Yeah,
and this is the thing that I always, when I read that exact, it ain't even about the possessions. I don't know what your intentions are.
Yeah,
I might catch you and you'd be like, oh man, I'm just gonna take your TV, whatever it is. Like, first of all, no, you ain't. That shit's mine. Second of all, I don't believe you. You're a guy who breaks into people's houses in the middle of the night. You're a predator of opportunity. You'll do whatever comes your way, whatever you're able to do. So it's like, I don't trust that you're just going to break in there. As far as anybody who breaks into my house, as far as I'm concerned, you're there to kill my family. And I'm going to be fucking killing you.
100%.
Like, I'm not okay with people trying to come into my house, man. I'm like extremely, I'm paranoid about that. Man. I'm always locking everything up. But I wish that we were able to have access to our guns just for that reason, Because it's like, even having a weapon, like I have a bat and everything, but it's like even having that, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
You hit somebody with a bat, you're going to be in trouble. I'll tell you that right now. Our country is weak on crime, incredibly weak on crime, and we need to be a lot more proactive with that and putting some fear into these criminals so that they're not breaking into people's houses all the time and don't feel like they can do whatever they want, because right now that's the environment we've created for them.
Yeah. It's like, it goes back to what Jordan Peterson was talking about being a monster, right? A man should be a monster, and then a man should, and then have it under control.
Yeah, learn to control it.
So, when it comes down to it, violence should never be your first option, right? Violence should never be you should never walk into a situation and go, okay, I'm using violence to solve this.
Yeah.
Right? Before knowing what the situation is, you should never try to push somebody to do something they don't want to do using violence. Violence should never be the thing that is your go-to.
Yeah.
Violence should also never be off the table.
No, that's right. I almost think of it as reactive is when I use violence.
Yeah.
I'm not proactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And another thing that I'd stress very, very strongly, and I think a lot of people don't understand this and don't get this, is that when it does come time for violence, be a lot freaking better at it than the other guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you shouldn't be scared to defend yourself when it comes to that kind of stuff, right? Finish it.
Yeah.
You don't want to just punch a guy one time and piss him off and then have him come and destroy it, right? Because you need to finish him.
You put him down till he's not getting back.
That's right, till he understands. To establish dominance on him. So he knows, this guy ain't nothing to trifle with. I'm not going to be messing with this guy anymore. Yeah. That's what it needs to be. Yeah. Instead of this pussification of the planet that we're dealing with right now, where it's not okay to do that. We need to let the criminals do what they want and feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Oh, Nate, we don't know their lives.
I know, right?
You know, poor guy. Poor guy.
Yeah.
You know, Miss Janice lives down the road too. If you want to go break into her house, come on there, bud. You could have all my stuff. Head on down to Miss Janice's too. I'll tell her you're coming.
She'll open the door.
Yeah, she'll open the door for you. You know,
Probably
you're a good guy. Okay, you see you later. You want to punch me? Yeah, give me a shot in the face. I know you need to get it out. You've had a tough life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live in a time where I think it is the pussification of the planet. That's really what it is. That's the thing that's bringing us all down. That's almost the cause of everything that we've talked about today. It's like
it really is.
It is, man. Having no being masculine and being like aggressive in that sense is like they're totally wrong, right? Like we can't even get in somebody's grill who's in our house. We can't be assertive.
No.
Even being assertive is toxic masculinity. Everything about being a man, they say is wrong nowadays.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, man. Everything about being a quality man, they say is wrong.
It's really, we need those qualities. Without those qualities, society doesn't work.
No, it does not work, man. You got a bunch of weak people and a bunch of depressed people and a bunch of people that, for one, people who aren't going to be following the rules. Two, you know, like if there's no, it's just like in school. There's got to be repercussions if you do something wrong, you know. And it's just like when you're an adult, there needs to be jail that you need to go to, or you've done bad things and you need to go to jail.
Yeah,
and that's the only way you're going to learn about it. I don't have any sympathy for people who do terrible things and expect us, like kind of what we were talking about earlier, blame everybody else for it.
Yeah,
no, you made these decisions. You know, sure, you might have had a tough background. That's very possible. A lot of these people might have had tough lives. A lot of people have had tough lives though and didn't make those same decisions.
Yeah.
So you can't use that as an excuse all the time, you know. You're 50 years old, you had stuff happen to you when you were 10. Yeah. You've had 40 years to get over that.
Yeah.
And that's not okay to be hurting people still to this day because of it.
No.
You know. That's not okay. And that's where we need to understand that, things happen to people. It's unfortunate. But that does not determine who you are and who you need to be. You determine that by your own actions and by just listening to every aggressive thought that comes into your mind because of something that happened to you back in the day is not a good way to live, and people need to understand that.
It's like you're not responsible for what happens to you as a child.
No.
Right? But you're 100% responsible for what you do as an adult.
That's 100%.
It does not matter what happened to you as a child.
That's right, man. And you can't be pointing your finger at it when you're 40 years old, 50 years old. You sound, in my opinion, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you hear somebody that age saying, "Oh man, my parents did this to me. They were mean to me when I was a kid," or you know this and that. It's like you're 50. You're grandparent age at this point, and you're still complaining about that stuff that happened when you were a kid. Like you need to man up and get over it and start acting like a responsible person. Act like the person you want to be, that you wish your parents were. Because you're acting like the same way that they were, and then blaming it on them. It's like, no, you're completely in control.
Yeah.
If you want to act like you think that they were so bad, why are you following in their footsteps? Why don't you be the person that you wish they were?
Exactly.
Instead of being the exact same and complaining about it. You know?
You know, it's... If you want to be a certain way, this might sound weird, right? But if you want to be a certain way, if you want to be a certain kind of person, then pretend you are. And you will eventually become that person.
Yeah.
Right? It's all about teaching yourself new things. And learning new things is doing things you don't know how to do.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't know how to be that person, then pretend you're that person.
Yeah.
And if you pretend you're that person, you'll learn how to be that person. You'll become that person.
Yeah.
It's actually really easy to change cycles. You just got to let it go.
That's right. And just think about what would you have wanted to do when you were a kid? Instead of your parents yelling at you or whatever they did that was bad, what would you wish they would have done instead? Start with that.
Yeah.
You know? Start with that, the kindness and stuff. I was talking to one of my friends here quite a while ago, and he had a stepdad growing up. And I asked him, like, my kids call me dad, right? Mm-hmm. And I've been with them since they were really young. So I appreciate that they call me dad, and I've like kind of worked for that. And I've always treated them like they were my own kids, because they are my own kids. Yeah. You know, in my mind, they're absolutely no different than they are mine. Mm-hmm. You know, he once said to me, you know what, those kids are never going to think of you as their dad.
That's horrible.
Yeah. And he's like a really good friend of mine. Yeah. He grew up with a stepdad. And I asked him, did he ever treat you like his son? Mm-hmm. He's like, hell no, he didn't. I'm like, well, that's the difference. Mm-hmm. I was like, these kids are mine. I don't think of them in any less of a way at all. Like, they are my kids 100%. I'm not even their stepdad. You know, they're my kids. I love them. And like, I treat them like they're my own kids. And I don't think he ever got that with his stepdad, right? So he's like never even really, he doesn't have that thought in his head at all that's even possible. Because he's always like, he never really wasn't a big fan of him. But yeah, to me, it was like right off the bat, I had such a bond with the kids. Yeah, they were just awesome, right? So I was like, I'm gonna do everything I possibly can to protect these kids for their whole life, and like make it my responsibility. And I think that's what I wish more people did it, because it does sound like it's a hard gig that not a lot of people are willing to do. And I think the problem that I have too is that people who go date single moms who are trying to date them just for them. Yeah. You know, for the woman.
And not the kids.
Not the kids. Yeah. It's like they are a unit.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and if you're trying to get that woman to choose between her kids and you, you're a piece of shit.
Yes.
You know? If you're like, no, the kid's not coming over tonight. We're going to have an us night. Yeah. No, there's no us night. It's like the kids come first, you know? We can hang out after they're in bed. Yeah. You know? But it's like, I want to say this. If you're a woman and you're trying to get a man and you have a kid, you know, on your first date, be bringing that kid along with you. Like, that kid needs to be with you like at all the time. For one, you need to see how he's going to be acting towards the kids, and to see, like, to let him know that you guys are a unit together. Like, he doesn't take priority over these kids. There's no way. You need to show him so that they know. So if he's not ready for it, you're going to notice that right away, and you could move on to the next person. Mm-hmm. Because, and what I think it also will help do too, you tell the person that, hey, just so you know, like, my kid's coming with us. Yeah. He'll either bail or he'll stay. Mm-hmm. And that should be a pretty good indication right there. Like, because I'm sure you will go through I'm sure you're scared that people are going to bail on you because you do have a kid. But those people are weak, and you don't want them with you anyways. So if you're going through that situation, obviously choose your kid first. And dudes, if you're dating a chick that has the kids, you need to prioritize that kid too. It's like number one too. They're going to be your kid. There is no other way of looking at it. You need to be there trying to be a positive influence, not just trying to get with the mom. That's not how it works. You know, they're a unit, and you got to keep it that way, because you don't want to be breaking up families, and that's what it does. Yeah. That kid's never going to respect you otherwise, and you're going to have a hard time. You're going to be living with that kid. Say you're with that lady for a while. That kid's going to resent you instead of loving you, and that's not what you want. So, yeah, I think that our world could be a little bit better in that department too.
I agree. I kind of think too, you know, we should go into everything that we do with the idea that this is the thing, right? Mm-hmm. Right. You should, if you go into anything half-hearted, you're just gonna get half-hearted results. So everything you go into, you should be as if this is the thing. And if you know it's not the thing, then you should be working towards the thing.
Yeah.
Right. If you're in a situation you don't like, you should be working towards getting out of into a situation that's better for you. So if you're dating, you should be treating every single person you date as if this could be the one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to understand that if that person's the one, the kid comes with, and the kid's the one too.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you want to be a good role model for the kid too.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you want them to look up to you. That's what you want. Makes you feel good too.
Yeah.
And you can be there to help them through their tough times. And makes you feel good too.
Yeah.
Because you got wisdom to share. So it's like, don't think about more than yourself. Think about the other people that you're affecting too. Because that kid wants somebody in their lives too.
Yeah.
You know, they want a permanent father figure, and they need that. And that's the thing missing in our lives too. There's too many people. It's pretty shocking actually how many people that my kids hang out with, that they're all from broken homes. Yeah. You know, very few people are with their original parents, and it's like lots of them aren't even with steady boyfriends. You know, they're just ringing through tons of people, and it's like that affects the kids
huge, big
time. You know, we're really missing steady relationships and single mother and father households. And I think that is a big problem too. There's obvious reasons that you need to leave relationships, like, you know, when people are attacking you and they're assaulting you at home or something like that. Yeah, you need to get the hell out of there, 100%. But there's lots of times where people are just looking for the next best thing too, you know, not taking into consideration that's going to affect that child. Sure, there might be somebody that you like that next day, somebody looked pretty that day that you see, and you're like, oh, you know what, that'd be good times. Yeah. And then you go out and destroy your entire life just for that, and turns out that person's a complete POS too. You know what I mean? It's like now you've ruined your whole life for instant gratification that has no bearing in your life. It was just a terrible mistake, but you acted on it, and now you've ruined your life. Yes. And like that shit happens all the time, but people try to justify it too, you know? I see that a lot. Like I was on that Theo Vaughn was talking to this chick on there who she said, what was her term she used? She was like, she didn't call it cheating, but she's like, yeah, no, I'm always, what was it? Like pre-testing the guys before I break up with people or whatever. And he's like, what? And she's like, oh yeah, no, I never just break up with a guy. Like I gotta bang another guy and date him for a bit too on the side. And he's just like, what are you talking about? And she was just like, what? That's the term. Like she was shocked that he was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Like it was just, she thinks it's just completely normal. That's like a normal way to live. Yeah, it's not cool.
No, it's not cool. Our society has been slowly heading there for a long time, right?
Yeah, narcissists, man.
Yeah, where you see a lot of, especially women, are pushed towards this. Like, yeah, the immorality that's in music and video that is pushed towards women as a way to live now. Yeah. You know, like, what was that song? WAP?
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Right, I won't say the words what it means, but we all know it.
Yeah, we all know what it means.
I mean, like, that's put out there as like a way that women should live now.
Like, it's an anthem for them. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Right?
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
And we throw people away too easily.
Yeah.
These days.
There's no perfect person, guys.
No.
You know, you're never going to come home every single day like everything is great. Hallmark movie, because you know another thing, there's no music playing in our background, guys. Okay, the music is where the emotion comes from. Yeah. You watch these movies and like you feel like, how am I feeling emotional? Yeah. It's because of the music, guys. If there was music playing in our background every time when you walked in, yeah, life might seem a little more cheery, but it's not. There's no background music. Life is life. There's going to be days when you come home where you're not feeling 100% or your partner's not feeling 100%, but together, you know, you guys can cheer each other up and you're going to be feeling better. And the longer time goes on for me personally with my lady, the better it feels. Yeah. You know, it's like the more satisfied I am with our relationship, the longer it goes on. It's awesome. And I'm like super happy that I'm not dating somebody new, especially in today's day and age. Oh man, it's scary. You look at these people, I'm just like, oh, thank God for my lady. Because yeah, we have such a great relationship. Seems like everybody's just, you make one teeny tiny mistake in today's world and your chick's already banged 3 dudes and you don't even know about it. Yeah. You know, or vice versa. Yeah. So it's a pretty weird time to be living in where that's like so acceptable. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very happy with the relationship I have.
I hear ya. I've seen so many videos lately. I've seen a lot of these lately, like on TikToks and stuff, of women talking about how much they regret leaving their husbands. Mm-hmm. Because it turns out he was actually a pretty good guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just they thought they could do a little better.
Yeah.
And the grass is almost never greener.
Exactly.
Like, especially when you're looking at relationships. And I won't lie to you, I'm 48 years old. How old are you?
Yeah, 38.
38.
39.
So he's got 10 years before he hits my part. But when you get into dating, when you're dating above like 25, everybody's starting to get their baggage. Mm-hmm. Right? And the further along you get, the worse and worse it gets. Like, I I would hate to have to be in the dating world right
now. Oh man, it'd be horrible.
It is rough out there. And I look back to the last time I was dating, and I was ready to give up.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna be celibate for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I was talking to this one girl on a dating site, and we were joking around about how you'll talk to somebody and you think you get along really well, and then they'll bring something up and you'll be like, oh, there's the thing.
Yeah.
Right? There's the red flag that I can't get past. And we were joking around about that. And then a couple days later, she sent me a message and she was like talking about how she really had been looking into polyamorous relationships and being in several relationships with other people. And she thought that this was a great idea and something she would like to try. And I'm like, there's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing I'm not cool
with.
I'm
not cool with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we need to just... You build a relationship with somebody. You don't get a relationship.
That's
It's not something that just falls into your lap.
No.
Everything is work. Everything that's worth doing is hard.
Yeah.
And everything requires maintenance.
Yeah.
Every relationship requires maintenance. And if you're not willing to do that with a person, then the next person's not going to be any better because you're not going to do it with them either.
Exactly, man. Yeah, you got to grow together. You got to be like understanding.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own thoughts and their own ways of thinking about how life's going to be too. So it's like you got to be understanding and listen. Mm-hmm. It ain't just all about you, you know. And if somebody does, you know, didn't somebody like this is one that I hear a lot from women that guys are work too much. Most of the time they're working to supply you with happiness. A lot of the times, you know, they're looking to buy you things or they're looking to take you somewhere too. So it's like, you can't have both. You can't have me home all the time and have all the money in the world too, to buy everything, you know? And it's like, that's almost what a man is judged on entirely nowadays is how much he makes.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if he's a good human being. There's lots of great people out there, but chicks won't even give him a chance because they don't make enough money.
Yeah.
You know, you see that a lot where people are asking, you see those videos, or they're like, what's the minimum amount that a guy can make? They're like, $250K a year, needs to be no less. You know, he needs to have a Ferrari. Yeah. You know, and it's like naming off all this stuff. And it's like, what do you bring to the table? What are you bringing to the table that's so amazing?
I live with my parents.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my looks. It's like, well, there's a lot of beautiful people out there.
Yeah.
You know, and people who don't judge people purely on money. So it's like, there's a lot of people out there that are just looking at, that's all they look at is money. But those people are never going to be happy. They're never going to be happy because they're not looking for somebody who's actually caring, who's going to make them laugh, you know, that they're going to have a good life with. So that's why when you find that person, you stick with them, guys. Because they don't come around. It's not like, you know, every second person's like that. I've been through a few in my day too.
Yeah.
Been with my lady now for, going on 14 years. Just the best 14 years that we've ever had. I love it. So, thanks, babe.
Well, thanks to my babe, too.
Yeah.
6 years today.
Nice, buddy. That's awesome,
been
man.
together 6 years today.
Good job.
Yeah, she had to work tonight, so but we went out for lunch. Went to church this morning.
Yeah, good.
Then went out to lunch afterwards, and I spent some time together.
Yeah, good, man.
She's good. I mean, you know, like I said, everything needs work, right?
Of course.
But I mean, we're at a position where I think we do what the other person needs done.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, you know, relationships, men in a relationship, like you're saying earlier, men tend to be providers, right? Mm-hmm. And a man a lot of times shows his love by taking care of a woman.
Yeah.
And women are supposed to show their love back by taking care of the man, the stuff that he can't do, right?
Yeah.
And we've run into this situation now where people, especially now with that whole thing, you know, man's got to make $250,000 a year, have a Ferrari. Mm-hmm. Well, that guy's got to work 60 hours a week. He's doing that, right?
Yeah.
And then now your guy's gone 60 hours a week. He's giving you money. He's taking care of you, but he's not giving you any attention.
Yeah.
You know, so you see a lot of these girls go out and they cheat on him because he's like, oh, he doesn't give me any attention.
Yeah.
Well, he can't give you any attention because you need him to make $250,000 a year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, you can't have everything, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you tell a lot of men, you know, you have to make this much money, a lot of men will go, okay, I'll make that.
Yeah.
If they care about you, right?
Yeah, if they can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll try to find a way.
They'll do
right?
what they have to do.
Yeah.
You know, because that's ingrained into us. We're providers. We're
That's right.
Hunter providers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And yeah, that's a terrible, I think it's a terrible way that we're going to society when you start looking at just money instead of the qualities that the person brings to the table, you know? Because what if he wants to beat you up when he gets home because he's angry about working so many hours in a day? You know, are you still going to be loving your $250K a year then? You know, there's lots of bad stuff that comes with that when you're just looking at money.
Yeah.
Too, you know, you need to be looking at the person that you're going to be bringing home with. Are you going to be able to last with that person every day? Does he make you laugh? You know? Yeah. Do you guys get along? Do you guys talk to each other? You have some good stories to tell each other? Are you excited to go home? Are you excited to see them? You know? Not just momentary excitement because he's buying you something. Are you actually excited to see them and spend time with them? You know? Because if you're not, then they're not the right person for you just because they have money. You're going to get sick of that person. And maybe that's what some people are looking for, just to stay long enough to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
But you're never going to be happy and you're always going to be searching if that's the case. You know what I mean?
I think another thing we have to understand as human beings is that we have to understand that we're not always going to be able to get everything we want from another person, right?
Yeah.
Right. For example, like even a man who's not pushed to go out and work is going to go out and try to provide, right? Because it is ingrained in us, and men do tend to work more than women.
Yeah.
Right. And women tend to in a traditional family, women tend to take up the feminine role, right? Support, love, they're the softness in the relationship, right?
Yeah.
The man tends to be the protector, the provider. It's the hardness.
The yin and the yang,
right?
man.
The yin and the yang. That's how men and women are supposed to fit together. And I think that people have to understand, especially women in a situation like that where a man is working, like you have to understand that he's not trying to leave you alone on purpose. He's doing what he feels he has to do.
Yeah.
You know?
He's not enjoying it either,
He's not enjoying it either.
You know?
Like, it's not cool for him.
Yeah.
Like, being at work 60 hours a week sucks.
Yeah, it is not cool.
Right?
Yeah.
But he's doing what he feels he has to do as a provider.
Yeah.
So, you've got to understand that he's doing what he feels like he can. And if you feel like you're not getting enough attention from him, then, you know, maybe instead of trying to make him feel bad about it, because you're trying to make him feel bad about doing what he feels like he needs to do, there should never be this idea that a man should never feel like he has to come home and fight a battle.
Yeah, that's the worst.
And, you know, actually nobody should feel like they should have to come home and fight a battle. They should feel like a team.
Yeah.
Right? If you're having an issue with what the person's doing, then talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't try to make them feel bad about it. Don't go sleep with somebody else to try to prove that they're not giving you enough attention.
Yeah.
Right? You need to work through things.
Yeah, the house needs to be like a safe space for you to go where you can be like, okay, you know, where you can let them know what your insecurities are about the future, talk about your lives together.
Yeah.
And like come up with, if it is that case where they're working too much, the woman needs to be like, you know, you can work less. We don't need this. I don't need the money. I don't need the $250K a year.
Yeah.
You know? And maybe that'll help it out too, right? But the worst thing you can do is just go cheat on them because they're not giving you enough attention after you've already demanded that he needs to make a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm sure it happens where guys will go out and they'll cheat on when they are working 60 hours a week all the time at the office too. So maybe chicks get insecure about that too, right? But the same thing with the guys. Like, you're doing that for a reason too, like your home life. Don't ever throw it away for instant gratification, because that's like a huge mistake, man. Huge mistake. Yeah, and you got to realize that a strong family is built off that. Like, you turning that stuff down and, you know, staying strong to your morals, I think is one of the biggest things.
Yeah. And you know, at the end of the day too, like, I look at me and Patricia, like what I'm doing here with the Good Man Initiative, and even, you know, the podcasts and everything that I got going on, it's time consuming, right? And I work a lot too. So, but we are a team, right? And we've talked about this, you know, we're doing things for our future.
That's right.
Right? And as a team, we're working towards a future together, right? And that's a lot of the difference. When you see these bad relationships, they're working against each other.
Yeah, they're all both independent.
Yeah, trying to get the most they can out of their relationship.
Yeah.
But neither one of them is getting what they need, right?
That's right.
Whereas we're like a team, and we're working towards a future that's going to be better for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So she understands that this is one of the things that I need to do that.
Yeah.
And she's very supportive. And she's very helpful. And she helps me to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
As a part of the team. And now she knows that she's going to benefit from this too.
Yeah.
And I want her to benefit from it because I am the provider. You know? That is my position.
What are your main reasons for wanting to do it?
Yeah.
You know, it's to be a provider. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100% feel that way too, man. Nicole's the same way, man. She loves it and looks after me too. I told her tonight, hey, don't forget I got the podcast coming out tonight. She's like, oh, that's awesome. Okay, make sure you come home and get some food first.
Nice.
Yeah. Had me some chili before I came over. Nice. Some homemade chili.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, she's always looking out for me too and completely understands too. Yeah, and I got lots of stuff on the go too, working too. Got the other channel going on too. So yeah, there's lots time consuming, like you say, but yeah, she's need to have a partner that's supportive.
Yeah.
And understand that it's our future that I'm working together.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not looking to make money to bring up my bank account. Mm-hmm. It's our bank account.
Yeah.
You know, yours included. It's not, and I think that's where couples and stuff, they're a power couple. Mm-hmm. Like the woman needs to make this much, the guy needs to make this much, and they're like, well, I need more money, well, I need more money. No, you guys are together. It's not your money at all. It needs to be, you need to be a unit, or I don't think you can succeed in a relationship, honestly. I don't think you can have your separate money where you're like borrowing money to your girlfriend or lending her money.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what? You guys been together 13 years, you're going to lend your lady $100? Mm-hmm. Make sure you pay me back. Like,
yeah,
no,
sure, right?
What are you talking about? Like, you guys are together. It's your money together. That's the only way it could be. It's the only way it's ever going to work.
Yeah.
You can't be like separate like that. I think that's weird. I think that's pretty common though, where people are
nowadays.
Yeah, you know, back in the day, yeah, it definitely wasn't. But nowadays, it's definitely more common where it's like
you're keeping 1 foot out, right?
Yeah, 1 foot out. That's a good way to put it. Yeah,
right? You're keeping a little bit of distance.
Yeah.
So you can back out whenever you need to.
That's right. You feel like you're not going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, you always got 1 foot out. Yeah. Yeah, dude, we're probably getting good. Should we start wrapping her up?
I'm thinking maybe.
Yeah, it is already quarter. It's quarter after 10, buddy. Holy cow.
Quarter after 10, that's crazy.
Jesus H. Christ.
Yeah. That's that time-consuming stuff. Stuff that's pulling us away from our families. Right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
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 But in the end, it's all for a good cause.
That's right, she is. The only thing I get about our late night podcast, Navy, I don't get enough sleep for work tomorrow.
I hear ya.
Got to be up at 4:50 tomorrow morning to head into work. And she's quarter after 10 right now, so she's been a long day.
Yeah.
I already put in a solid 12 and a half hours of work and then come here. We do the old podcast, got to head home. So it's a long time.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I'm super grateful to have a lady who understands because, I didn't get to see her much today. Got to see her for a few minutes at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Then got to see her and I had my chili.
Yeah.
And then straight back here, so...
Well, let's all do Donovan a favor and get him home so he can spend a few minutes with his wife. Do you want to give your final thoughts, or?
Yeah. So, I think that some of the main takeaways from today would just be, I like the old yin and the yang analogy. That like as a couple, that's what you guys need to be, the yin and the yang. You both can't be the yin, you both can't be the yang. You got to have the mix. You know, you need to have somebody to come home to show your vulnerabilities to, where your lady, you can't have a poker face on your whole life. You need to be able to show your true self when you come home, and you need to have a partner who's willing to hear you out and accept you for who you are and stuff too, and come home and hear your thoughts, and you guys work together as a team to move your lives forward. Don't try to be in a relationship but both be independent from each other, because that's just never going to work, you know. And also make sure you guys are, if you're seeing something crazy going on, don't fall into the crowd and just go along with it. Stand up with it, stand up against it, and that's the masculine thing to do, is to, when you see something in any kind of situation, whether it's you're on a team or you're applying for a job or you're doing whatever, don't think you need to do something just because other people are doing it. Just because they all made mistakes doesn't mean you have to make the same mistake. And I think that our future could be looking pretty good if we all started doing that. We started looking after our fellow man a little more, started being more masculine, and not being scared of our masculinity when it comes to talking to people when you're out offending people. The only thing is going to be me and Nafi are going to be going on some camping trips coming up here, and hopefully be able to get one in before the end of the hunting season. We got a postal strike going on here in Canada, and I got some gear coming in through the old post office, and it's slowing me down. So hopefully we can get doing that here in the near future. If it's not before Christmas, we'll be shortly thereafter. We'll go out on a trip, and that should be pretty exciting too. But I think that'd be about it for me today. What are you figuring, Nafi?
Well, I think my biggest takeaway from today is just a reminder that traditional values and traditional morals are really something that we're missing in this world today, and really something that makes the world better. When we are moral people and have traditional values in how we view our relationships, we're all stronger, we're all better, and we allow our society to be stronger, and we allow ourselves a lot less to be led down a road that we shouldn't go down. When you're strong in your beliefs and your morals, you don't end up doing things that you shouldn't be doing. When you feel like there's consequences and that you have to answer for your actions, you tend to do bad things a lot less. So maybe we need to just, try to bring back traditional morals and values in our lives these days, for our children, for our society, and for everybody. We need to treat each other better, be more respectful, and just be better people. Be stronger men. Masculinity is absolutely needed for all of this to work. As well as women being feminine is also needed for that. That is the yin and the yang that Donovan was talking about. We need those two things to have a cohesive relationship, to have a cohesive family unit. And we should be striving more to make that the norm. Jordan Peterson said, if you're gay, or if you're a lesbian, or if you're even transgender, that's okay. But we need to have a norm that we strive for. And the norm that we strive for should be the norm that puts our society further ahead, the one that causes us to have children. So we're talking about a man and a woman. That should be the accepted norm. And it's okay if you're one of those other things, right? It doesn't make you bad. It's just that shouldn't be the norm. So traditional values and traditional outlooks on how society should work, I believe it makes us all stronger. It makes us all better. We all need to remember to respect each other and respect the different beliefs. It's okay to have somebody disagree with you. It's okay to if somebody else says something that offends you, that's okay. And you've got to understand that that's okay. Because without that, we don't have free speech.
That's right.
And without free speech, we don't have much power
at all. Nothing.
Right? We lose it all when we lose free speech. We have to remember that. So, yeah. And, we all got to be out there trying to treat each other better, trying to be better towards each other, be stronger, be more capable, and be what the world needs us to be. That's right. What I believe.
Who you are today doesn't mean that's who you have to be tomorrow.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. The future always starts from right now.
That's right.
And you can flip that switch anytime you want to.
That's right. Flip it.
So yeah, I will put all of our social media links in the description for this. We each also just started up a merch store if you feel like buying some merch. So I'll put links for those in the description as well.
Beautiful.
And other than that, just treat each other good out there.
That's right.
To each other.
We'll be back for episode 4 there in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, sounds good.
Doing 2 a month here, gang. So we'll see you guys have another one. Should be ready by just after Christmas for you guys. Yeah. This one will be coming out mid-month. Yeah. No, we'll be having another one here at the end of Christmas. God bless you guys.
All right. God bless you guys.
Peace.
Love you.